How about now? Test 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, back. All right, we are good to go. Sorry for the delay.
Hurry up or quit.
Yeah. All right.
Too late.
Yes, ma'am. All right. It is 8:25. For those who are watching or will be watching, we apologize for the delay. We were having technical difficulties. So we will call the budget meeting number 1 of Lawrence County Council to order on April 17th at 8:25 a.m. I'll call on Councilman Luke Rankin for the invocation, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for today, beautiful day that we're about to have. I pray for the business of Lawrence County that we're about to dive into. Give us wisdom so we can make the best decisions for this county. Pray all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. I appreciate all y'all being here. We're gonna dive right in. We'll start with the overview. Budget. We all had an opportunity to glance at it. I know we got our books about a month or so ago, so I'll just run over a few quick changes that might have been made since then. If you're looking at your sheet on page 1 there.
Looking at our pack that we gave Ron.
The package you did, Miss Walsh had that for you, I'm sorry. Are you look on the screen too? So a couple things that we changed, the loss credits from the state are way up. Actuals to date are 2.2. We didn't want to go that high, so we bumped those just to 2 million. The FELOs, we passed a few ordinances earlier this year, and it adjusted out to 4.8 on the FELO revenue. On the local option sales tax, 29%. Last year we gave it all back. We didn't take any. For now in the budget, we're going to budget that way again with 0% coming out. So right now, all that 29% is going back to the taxes. So what we can do, like if we get to the end and we're deficit and we need to make that up, we can take 2%, we can take 13%, we can take 4%. We can make that call later, but to start off with, we're not putting that in the budget.
What is the gross amount, the whole, what is it, 29%? What
900,000.
What is the maximum we could take?
900 grand, roughly. So actual last, 878, 875 is in that range. The 2 previous years, there's the 3rd previous year we took it, those numbers right there. So that's all good. So we took those historically, and then like I said, last year we elected to retain, to give that all back to the taxpayers and not keep any of it. So the way I see that is kind of a savings account. So instead of budgeting it in the beginning, we need to wait till the end, and then if we need some, then we can use some, is the way I see that on this spreadsheet. That's all, that was the revenue changes, expense changes. We sat down, Dale, Lisa and myself, and reviewed pretty much everybody except it's going to present to us, the sheriff's department, EMS, fire. They had contested budgets, so they're going to actually come to full council. But we did review the uncontested once more. There were very minute changes. They were minuscule. Let's get to the bottom. So the budget, as you can see, actuals to date, we are actually 1.5 in the black, which is a good thing. See where we end up, how that works. We got some quarterly payments that might still come in. This is through 8 months. So we're actually doing really well based on last year. Your book, if you look at your notebook when we got it, the balance that we were deficit starting off with was 1.4 million. The budget that was presented originally. Right now, after we adjusted the fee loads, adjusted the revenues, took the loss back out because it was included in the first draft, we were at 114,000 in the red. So last year we approved the budget 1.1 in the red. So I'd say we're doing pretty good to start here, that we're only $100,000 over budget starting out versus the 1.1 million we were last year. So the revenues are looking good, expenses, hopefully we can keep them down. Everything's looking great. As you can see here, over the past previous years, we've been well in the black. Actuals from 2020, we were 952. Year before that, we were 1.9. Year before that, we were 1.3. So we've been budgeted and doing well. I give a lot of that credit to our department heads. We often, just like last year, we budget over budget every year, and every year recently they've been coming in under budget and allowing surplus. So it's a refreshing sight to see, and I appreciate all our department heads that spend wisely and appropriately during the year. Does anybody have any questions on the just overall revenues and expenses?
What are we using for the value of the mill?
Value of the mill, spreadsheet. As Mr. Coleman gave that to Mr. Kamey. I'll have to look that up for you.
Okay.
That you.
I was the one to say it was 173.
173 is what it is.
Okay. Okay. When we adjust the ordinance, we'll make
Yeah,
sure.
and we'll verify that with I've seen it, I just want to quote you wrong.
Right.
But yeah, Mr. Coleman did send that up. All right.
Now, what is
Yes.
the, what address have you included in the budget to date for employee salaries and what might?
So I'm glad you brought it up. I apologize for not bringing that up a while ago. There is $1 million earmarked already. So this number at the bottom, that includes $1 million in the budget.
$1 million more than last year.
Yes, for salaries.
What is the total salary number? I mean, what, $1 million out of 20, $1 million out of 3, $1 million out of how many?
Total salaries normally run us about $14 million. Give or take.
So 1 million out of 14.
And that's, and when we get a compensation study, we'll know better. It might be 1.3, it might be 800. We won't know till we get that back. I know there was we're supposed to hear something back this week, just to kind of make sure all the boxes are checked, and then we're expecting the full report into this month, first of May.
That's about 7% address.
And that's just, that was a number that Johnny phoned in, and now we left it in there to take it out.
For sure, we take it out.
So that's just kind of a round figure, and we'll see where it lands. We might have to go up, we might be able to come down. We just don't know yet till we get that compensation study back.
Do you have any idea what the amount we getting back from the state? Or
The local government fund,
yes. That in here?
it is, let me find the line item.
Is that what some,
$2,906,000.
is that a speculation or is that the exact amount?
I'm not sure if he had the exact amount at the time we did this.
That's what we, that was the number from last year. We're using the old number.
Okay.
So-
Last year's numbers.
So you can see that it's gone up a little bit each year, but we're using last year's number just so that we don't overshoot.
Well, we did get a increase in
Right.
last year. They increased a little bit.
Yeah, it's supposed to increase a little bit every year. They had kind of a stair step, but they did that CR too, so they're still working on budget right now. I hope they get finished the sentence about it. But yeah, we use last year's number, so ideally that number will come in higher, which would help us offset even more, but we did not up that number from last year.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions on just the general overview? All right, we will move on into consent budgets. Did anybody have any questions on the consent budgets? Anybody want to pull one out in particular? Is there anything anybody wants to address? Please feel free to take your time. I guess I can go over which ones they are. And remember too, I guess I should start with this. We're really looking at O&M. I think we all know we're gonna come back to the salaries when we get the compensation study.
When is that gonna be?
They told us in the May. I mean, sorry, in April, 1st of May. So,
Just one observation about that I'd like to have on the table is I think that $1 million is not gonna solve our problems. Right, it's double that. And I'm basing that on, the management issues that we keep talking about and observations from 10 years ago modified by what I see today. And so I'm gonna leave that put down on the table and I'll say more about it later.
yeah, so I'll just go ahead and give my personal take. I'd love to see whatever that compensation comes back at after we evaluate with all the department heads. I want to see everybody in market. I want us to be able to bring everybody where they're supposed to be. I think for a long time, the county employees have been well underpaid for the jobs they do compared to other industries. We lost animal control deputies at Chick-fil-A, and that should not be happening. It's almost embarrassing that that's a fact. But I do, whatever it is, the $1 million is just an earmark, I don't know that anybody really knows what the number is gonna be. I think some people are hopeful of what it might be, but nobody actually knows. That was just to keep us
I
from,
hope that another million will bring us to that point. I hope
at least.
when we did it this, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, something more than 10 years ago. We were 15% less than the average of Cherokee, Newberry, Greenwood, Abbeville surroundings. We're 15% less across the board than that. And I don't think we've improved since then, from what I'm observing.
I'd be inclined to
And
agree.
there are issues with management that enter in when you say, well, I know I'm not paying you enough, so I'm not gonna expect as much out of you, and that kind of thing. The best business people I've ever been around insisted on paying well and expecting well, and they got it.
I agree, and I'm committed to getting us there. Whatever we have to do to work and maneuver to get it, I'm committed to do that. But like I said, it's kind of a shot in the dark till we get that study back, but we'll all be delving into that as soon as we get it.
Thank you.
I appreciate your comments on it.
I'm committed, but I think we need to have an overall view, overall goal for the county. Because this is a reoccurring fund, that fund is not gonna, you
Oh, yeah.
have to make sure you're gonna have that same amount of money every year if you're going to
Yes.
salary.
I agree with that. We can't use one-time money to fund salaries. It's not possible.
I want to make sure that everything is covered when we get ready to do it.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, I'm just gonna flip through these real quick, just for the record, and everybody watching, I'm gonna call off what they are. If anybody wants to stop and discuss one, speak up. We have the administration budget. We have the airport. We have the assessor's office. We have the auditor's office. We have building and grounds. I will stop on that one and address, we'll see it in red. One thing you'll see as we go through here is our insurance is drastically gone up this year. Billy Wilson speaks that if he desires. They told us we're probably looking at 20% on insurance, on all of them, liability, tort, physical, I mean, everything. So you will, if you see some hefty jumps, a lot of it has to do with insurance on our properties. But you'll see that in the building and ground budget right there in red in the middle of the page.
But please note that this is not just Lawrence County only. This is every county across the state. This is a nationwide, the reinsurers, this is a nationwide increase to everybody. This is all due to pandemic, all due to earthquakes, all due to natural disasters. They are finally catching up with the reinsurers, and they are passing it on down to
does.
And Billy and I've had multiple conversations about looking at other providers and whatnot, and I do firmly believe we're getting the best deal we can get. Even though it looks a little outrageous, we're not gonna find better elsewhere at the moment. Next, we have Clinton Extension Fund. We actually voted on that Tuesday night, if you'll remember. So that's in there on the budget, $25,000. Clerk of Court's office, and their 911 communications. Agency fund, coroner's office. County council budget. E911. Emergency management. Finance department. Health department. Building and codes, inspection / permits. The library budget. Magistrate's office. Parks, Rec, and Tourism. HR. So the next one is planning, which we'll see in there. Once again, we kind of need to wait until we start looking at adding personnel, which I don't want to do until after we address our current personnel. But you'll see a requested column of a new person. That's not what we're approving. We're approving the recommended column, which includes the state mandated comp plan. That's the only thing on this page that's being approved at the current moment. Once again, we'll revisit it when we get to the head count.
No position are included in it at all.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I just want to make, I didn't want somebody to look at it and think we were approving the second to last column. We're in the far right hand column on all of this.
All right.
Next is the probate office. Public Works Department. Registration and elections. Roads and bridges. Social services. Treasurer's Department. Veteran Affairs Office. Purchasing Vehicle Maintenance Department. This next one, once again, is the risk manager. Actually, shouldn't be in here. We're not approving anything for that department. If we decide to add that later, we would come back and address the whole department at one time. Federal grants, that's the normal thing there. Insurance and benefits. So here's, you'll stop on that page 45. This is where you'll see some big jumps in the insurance, like I was speaking of earlier. You'll also see that $1 million I was talking about, Mr. Tribble, at the top of that page. That's where we put that placeholder in. Just as a placeholder. Legal department. Local government assistance. IT department. Special revenue, 544, excuse me. That deals with the plate fees and sticker fees and stuff we deal with the DMV. Solid Waste Enterprise Fund. I will pause on this one for just a second. So as we all know, the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund is its own fund, so it has its own revenues. It's not part of the general fund, but you will see if you go all the way to the bottom. I would give Mr. Gerger props as well as Dale. They balanced their budget $960 in the black. So they took the revenues that they are allocated and balanced their budget. I'm extremely proud of them for that, and everything looks good. So we're putting that in the consent budget as well. And that's the last one. Is there any department, anything in there anybody cares to address?
They'll start the budget off of some of the revenue we had left over, but will that maintain that department, the amount of money that we give them for waste management? I know they've been talking about that. department with the $55 household fee?
That didn't include, that didn't include reserve funds, did it?
What did you?
No, that doesn't include any reserve. That was true revenue, not expenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, we will have to continue to watch our 5-year capital plan and make sure we can reinvest and upgrade box sites and roll-off trucks is our greatest need right now.
We will see some capital requests, I believe, over in the general.
Will that department pay for itself with the amount of money?
We certainly believe so.
And keep in mind too, that fee decreased $10 per household last year.
I know it did, but I know they asked for a little more than that, and we went for the 10. I want to make sure that we are.
So they have, we've already seen, I know Dale's talked on it before, and Mr. Gerber too. We've already seen tremendous cost savings with this transfer station. Definitely been a blessing just in, if nothing else, in time's money all day long. So the time to get to the dump, being able to move 3 to 5 loads at a time instead of 1. The wear and tear on the trucks, it's just been a tremendous cost savings already.
Do you need a motion on those consents?
If you don't mind, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agendas as presented this morning.
Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Rankin. Is there any further discussion on the consent buttons? Here none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion passes 5-0. Wonderful. All right, next we'll move into capital requests. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna hear the plea from everybody on the list. And then we will discuss amongst ourselves and start scratching and adding and doing the best we can as it sits. At the beginning, there are 3.3 million in capital requests. And our number from the auditor is 1.159. So we're gonna have to sharpen our
According to
pencils.
that, it would be $193,167 a mil. If they're doing it according to this.
I was thinking this was 6.1 mil, so what's wrong?
Yes.
Okay, so that number's not divided right.
What did we have last time around?
It was
I think it was
1.03.
You talking about for the millage?
Oh, no, I was talking about what is that, this
The
one?
total,
Total looks like every $1 million.
yeah, $1,035,000.
What is the mill rate? What is it? Dollars per meal?
On 6.1, which was, this says 6 mil, it's supposed to be 6.1, I do know that.
Yes.
6.1 over the, like I said, Mr. Coleman gave us his number. It's 190,000, what is that, what is figured on this piece of millage? I do know we've gone up, and we can talk about the revenues now too. So millage increase, what we've had over the last year is the vehicle side has drastically increased. And what's caused that, so if you own a vehicle and it's over 15 years old, I think, it goes to a base flat rate of assessment. So you're paying, county taxes aren't $20, probably $20-$30 on a vehicle that's 15 years or older. So with all these stimulus checks that started hitting middle of 2020, a lot of people are buying new vehicles. What's happening is that's increasing our tax rolls. Because those new vehicles are now, you get an 8-year-old vehicle and it's $250, $300 instead of 30 that we were getting. I think that's where we've seen a lot of our millage increases in the vehicles, plus the influx. We've had people moving in, and I think that'll show up in the census when we get that data back. So we have had millage increase where we've been stagnant for a while. But we'll look at this and we'll re-verify. I've seen the emails from the auditor, but we will recheck.
For some reason, 183,000 is sticking in my mind for last year.
Sounds about right. Did I put us, that sounds right, I remember that number, that put us at 1.16, so we're right there.
I was just looking to see if, Mr. King could address the. millage plan.
You remember what the number was last year?
Maybe that's where the 173 is coming.
They wanted the current 6 mil capital millage at $193. $193.
He divided it wrong. So,
Divided wrong.
so what we did is, the auditor gave us the number, which
Okay,
is,
let me do that one then.
the auditor gave us the number, 1.159. And then Mr. King divided by 6, but he should have divided by 6.1.
Right, so did you finally get a number for what millage worth? Did somebody find where? It's like it's around 31 to 32,000.
It should be about 190.
Yeah, 190.
That's what I was thinking.
Based on that number.
Per mill, I see, okay,
Yeah.
193 per mill, okay.
So it's actually closer to one.
And we don't, we could, I mean, we can always back that down if we don't feel comfortable with this. At the end of the day, we can decide where we want to end up.
I mean, if a mill's bringing in more tax this year because the people are not gonna trade back to their 15-year-old cars.
I'm thinking about it right now.
I got mine sorted.
Last year.
2003 is that we let the. I had a Toyota, I had about 400,000.
I've got another one 400 that's got 310,000 miles.
That was approved.
My dad's got this has got 306.
Oh, you don't need pounds.
Thank you.
Leave pounds.
See, I thought that's what he told me.
That's a local driver, right? Just in case it makes me.
I drove mine with 350,000 miles. I drove it to watch TC play Ole Miss.
Something like
Oh, wow.
I drove it to.
We can double
I
check.
swear that
Oh,
number
you
was
sure
thinking in my
did.
head. I don't know why 163, but that's thinking in my head.
Yeah, but it was a good product.
He should have known. Oh,
Yeah, that was 200,000 miles.
I had a 2000 Malibu I bought brand new, got
Jim's usually conservative.
300,000
Yeah.
He's
miles.
usually on the low side.
Same price. Yes, that guy will drive away that. Hollister. Transmission in my 4Runner, I've had that place 2 years.
But I kept
Yeah.
AAA. And it happened to.
Based on, the reason it went up is based on.
I closed in the house, but when I got rid of
Yeah, but still.
Year before last, Jim moved it, or maybe 2 years ago, Jim moved it to 6.1 to meet the budget based on his value of the mill. That's how it's 6.1. Because see, he does the millage backwards based on what you propose. Yeah, if you want to increase that, that's your call. If you got the votes out there, go ahead.
All right, we're looking right now to see what that revenue actually was last year's, maybe give us a better. We want to make sure we're right before we start delving into numbers. Yeah.
Getting fire, we're gonna need to look at that one too.
Well, what's the total of all the funds combined?
Our big number,
The biggest number? 40?
that's 35, 36. What's our grand totals in that 35, 36 range? There's some that's kind of pass through and everything. Here's another, that's
27.
27 is kind of hard. There is some pass through on a lot of stuff. It goes to the treasurer's office. What comes to, I guess, this office. Right there. 27. Roughly.
That was a home run. Greg got yesterday with that.
Yes.
pie grade.
While she's looking up, did we send everybody?
I think he did.
Okay. If not, we'll talk about it real quick while she's looking that up. got an email last night. Greg got a, grant, multiple ones, the Be Safe grant. They're awarded to a lot of rural fire districts throughout the entire state, probably the nation, actually. They just sent us, state. He got $30,000 in grant money for, new extraction tools, turnout gear, and SCBA's for 6 stations. So he got 180,000 in grants total. For, let's see which ones they were, Cross Hill, Gray Court area, Green Pond Volunteer, Joanna Fire Department, Lawrence City's included in here too. Mountville Fire Department and Young's. So six of our rural ones plus Lawrence City got that grant award. So that's fantastic. That'll definitely be very impactful for those particular fire departments. Because I think turnout gear is one of the big things we had to address this year. So that'll actually help drastically towards that number. Yes, ma'am.
Tax was last year, it brought in $1,360,000.
Sorry, I'm not following.
Okay, so that for the capital, and that was 6.1 mil, right?
David, didn't hear what you
I
said.
said that doesn't only include that, it includes any delinquent tax or anything else that's appropriated out for that, but 31 point.
We'll stick with the one we got on the page.
I don't know, maybe that's all. Let me see what the current.
Yeah, well, I would suspect the numbers would be higher, but that's
what's the
50
tax
more than.
revenues coming in from treasury?
Why y'all doing? I'm gonna.
Okay, well, we're gonna take a recess for just a minute, just to verify these. So for those watching, we're gonna take a recess just a minute, just to verify some numbers before we delve into capital. All right, we will reconvene. We did confirm, so where that number came from, the actuals from last year were roughly 1.36 million. That included 200,000 from the feelos. So what he did was he took the feelos out since we changed the arrangement, and that brought us to the 1.159. That's where that number came from. So we did check that, just make that's, so we're right. On that number. I do feel better about it now. So we're good to run off the 1.159. Ideally, it'll increase again this year, and at the end of the year, I was going to ask Ms. Kirby, to keep up with that. And next year, if we are over, if we bring in more than we allocated for, that'll give us a little bit extra next year to address some of our capital needs. I do agree we have a lot of capital concerns, so that will allow us to address those. So, Billy, since you're in here, if you want to start with us and just give us a quick rundown, Ms. Cheek, she said you would cover for her on the coroner's truck.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what she's going to use it for? What's the ask? How many does she have now?
Okay, what they have now are 2 pickups, due to COVID, they're running wild, just like EMS, so they have 2 pickups that they are hauling deceased bodies in. Ms. Cheek's van is also used to haul deceased bodies in, but what we have found out with Ms. Cheek's van is due to COVID, the body is in there with you. And, of course, they have, been worried with COVID and all that, so Ms. Cheek is wanting to take away her van from hauling anything, but she wants to keep it and use it as her van for her use. Former coroner, Mr. Nichols, right before he passed away, council bought him a 2016 Ford Taurus, and it roughly has 30,000 miles on it. Ms. Cheek is wanting to take the Taurus and trade it in for another pickup. And the reason for the pickups, just in case, you're separated from the body you're hauling. So therefore, any bad statement, any smells or diseases, anything like that, contamination, the driver is away from what they're hauling. So they're actually have, if you figure the van and the 2 pickups, they have 3 vehicles running where they can haul their deceased bodies. They wanted to take Ms. Cheek's van and just put it back as an administrative type vehicle for her and take the Taurus, trade it toward a pickup. So 40,000, you could, the car's been appraised at 10 to 12, something like that. So you could actually back off of that, maybe about 10,000 and be at 30.
Does this 40 include outfit and that? You're going to need a camper shell and lights and whatever else you need.
It does.
Okay.
It does. It's a camper shell, and they do use a system, basically like the mortuary is used with a flat cot and the latching system and all that. So, that was what that 40 does include that.
Okay.
But, we've already had the vehicle appraised 10 to 12 range, but I'd say,
And there's not another department that could utilize that vehicle.
I have tried, I did mention it to another department and I couldn't get a bite on it for right now, so
I just want to make sure.
What's the mileage on it? What's
30,000, it's in the 30s.
30?
Mhm. Because, when Mr. Nichols, spent the time in the hospital and when he was really going downhill, he just parked the car at the office. And, they have, I think, roughly 2, 3, maybe deputy coroners, that are on call at different times, and some of them would drive that, and the pickup would be left at the office, for the people on call to use.
But her preference is to have the van, not to use the car.
She prefers the van because she says that she has better visibility from the van than she did in the car.
And could use it if need be to haul something.
Yes,
It can still be used.
yes, because it would still maintain its cot
So we really going from three haulers to 4 haulers.
basically.
All right. Just for simple, since you're here and we're going, you'll go ahead and jump down to E911, truck plus SUV.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Avery is requesting an SUV, basically, SUV type vehicle that we had for Mr. Satterfield this budget year. Vehicles are going crazy right now. Nobody can get them on their lots, and they're telling us a long wait period. Just really going to have to wait and see how it shakes out or whatever, but we felt comfortable with bringing that 28 up to 30. That would give him some warning lights in there also. He has currently an SUV that he will be turning in, and his pickup that he has will basically be passed down to their addressing and mapping personnel. He does have a work truck in there also that for their sign maintenance guy. He will just be shuffling down. He is not adding to his fleet. He is just, gonna take one out for one, so.
All right. The next one down, I'll speak on that real quick. Repave parking lot. We discussed that when we were meeting the other day. And the roads and bridges, actually, since we now have the ability to, they're going to be able to do that in-house. So that will save us $12,000 off the bat. So that's why you will see that scratched off the list.
Chip seal?
I think he's actually gonna do asphalt.
Asphalt.
Yeah.
We're going to do a little dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're using Mr. Avery. That is not a big lot, but it is, we do have a good personnel in place. It comes from a line of family-owned asphalt business, plus he's done a lot of DOT. So we've got him, and he's going to be training these guys, so we're gonna practice on our own.
And materials, he said 7,000 to 9,000 in materials.
Yeah,
Which we have in the road and bridge.
we have that there, yes.
Yep.
Also, you'll see the shed scratched out. Mr. Avery understood how tight we are on this part of the budget, and he said that he could forgo that this year and shuffle some stuff around amongst the volunteer fire departments, and he would be okay without that. Building grounds, Billy will call on you for the restroom remodel and ceiling tiles. I'll let you.
Yeah, at the library, to say the least, is deplorable where our citizens have to go and use the restroom and everything. They are originals from when the building was built. Nothing has ever been done. We have a lot of leakiness. Some of the urinals are even just out of service. There's nothing else we can do until we get in there behind the wall and get in there and start replacing some piping issues and stuff. So we are looking at doing that. The ceiling tiles, we had put in the new LED lighting inside the building when we done the HVAC upgrades. And that really brought to light just how nasty and everything the ceiling tiles are. So that is for that there. We bumped up that 60 to do the ladies and the gentlemen's restrooms, but due to construction materials and everything, we will take it as far as we can go. If we have to phase this, if the 75 is just going to be a phase one and just do one, we're not going to rip out both at the same time and all of that. So if we have to use the 75 to just do a phase one of it, we'll go that route.
75 for one bathroom, or is that for both?
We're gonna try and do both.
Okay.
We're gonna try and do both, but like I said, with building materials, things like that, we will certainly, bid this out and be conscientious of how we spend those dollars. And if we don't see that 75 will get both, but maybe 40 will get one, then, we will not spend that whole 75. We will just tackle one at a time and phase it. That's due to the day's market, that's all we can do.
Is that one worse than the one we had up here in the courthouse?
Yeah.
It's worse.
Just, yeah,
Okay, I don't want, that's bad.
yeah, it's just as bad.
All right, jumping down, next is Parks and Rec. You'll see those 2 mower scraps out, that's what we approved about a month ago. They decided to take their funds they had allocated for, building a new shed to go ahead and purchase those mowers since they are delaying that shed project that we approved last year. So those are scratched off the get-go. You'll see him requesting a truck. That is a 3/4 ton. Given their increase in duties, they're pulling more mowers. They currently have a gas-powered 3/4 ton that's 2-wheel drive, and it won't pull the trailer for anything. It's just a dog. I do think we're repurposing that truck though, are we not, Billy?
If, Mr. Howard and I have talked about it, and, we can repurpose it. Hopefully, that would be something we could pass over to, Road and Bridge as possibly a flagman's type truck thing, something like that, that does not have to haul the gross loads.
Yeah, it's a good truck. It's just on track
Yeah.
for their application.
Mr. Howard has gotten to where he is hauling, 5th wheel trailers, gooseneck trailers he's got skid steers, and then he's got 4 lawnmowers stacked on other trailers. And the gas engine is just not pulling these things.
And if you get in, for all of us that know that drive trucks, you get a 2-wheel drive truck on wet grass, it'll spin all day long with the trailer.
Yeah.
So he can't get in and out of these parks and stuff, and he's having issues with that truck. So that was the purpose for that request. And you'll see the increase. Billy, thankfully, he went in and kind of redid and looked at new quotes and stuff to be more accurate, because these numbers were put together in January. So that's what the increase there is, just the cost difference on the new state contract.
Yeah.
Next down, you'll see a skid steer rake. That's an attachment for the Harley rakes, what I know it as, for the front of the skid steer. That helps him with leveling ball fields, leveling property as they do clearing out. They do a lot with that. I personally think realistically that will come in closer between 5 and 7. But with prices on new stuff, he thinks he can find a used one. Prices on, if he bought a brand new one today, it'd be 9,000, but he feels comfortable he can find a decent used one and save us a little money there. Next we'll jump roads and bridges. Next one down, Fabian dump truck. I'll let Billy go on that.
We put in 105. We took delivery of one of these trucks a month and a half ago. It was on order since July 1. So it was in the backlog too of being built. But we were assured that we did pay $95,000 for the truck, and according to the salesman and the general manager that delivered the truck to us from the dealership, these were bought off state contract also. But he did say that for what they see now for the immediate future, they're holding that price at 95. So we got our fingers crossed that we can still get it July 1 at the 95. So that's why we backed off of that amount. The chipper that Mr. Stoddard has looked at was originally a 15-inch diameter chipper. You can get I think they've quit making that since we put this package together. So we're down to a 12-inch chipper. We can go with a diesel engine. Mr. Patterson we had talked about the other day, looking at going a little deeper into not necessarily state contract, but we can go nationwide on Sourcewell and some of our other contract vendors that we use on nationwide contracts to maybe bring this number even lower. So we stopped at the 65, but we feel like we can probably get it on down a little bit more too. But that would be with a diesel engine to grind these, clearing the right of ways and stuff.
And they use that on, like, we have storm damage, roadside stuff.
Storm
That's a
damage.
roadside chipper. That's in the big one that's at the landfill. This is the roadside.
Yeah, this is the one, we pull behind and shoot it into
And the one we have now is how old?
it is, I think it's fixing to hit its 9th or 10th birthday. So,
That's far out.
yeah.
Okay. All right, the buildings, and I'll run through these real quick, Bill, and you correct where I'm wrong. That's, if you've been out by Roads and Bridges by the airport lately, you'll see they've continuously added sheds. This is just the next row. They use those to keep all their equipment under, including their trucks and trailers, which is, it just helps prolong the life, of our equipment by keeping them out of the weather and whatnot. So that's for an additional row of cover. The concrete pad and the blocks for the aggregate, that's the new materials for the roads and bridges that we added the paving crew. That would allow them to order this stuff by the tractor trailer load and dump it on a flat level surface, keep it clean.
Keep it clean and keep it from being commingled into
Yeah.
gravel that's already out there that's been dumped previously, so.
Pretty self-explanatory.
But I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman,
No, go ahead.
if I can back up these buildings, with the paving projects and all the paving preservation that you all approved last year and what we're getting into, we bought 13 pieces of equipment for paving. Our asset value has tripled out there, and this is county property, and this is county tax dollars. That's one thing I am proud to see. These departments are getting into being more proactive in keeping these things nicer, cleaner, because Lawrence County has never been one to just use it a couple of years and sell it. I mean, we always get our goodie out of what we buy. So I am proud to say these buildings are helping us prolong our equipment and keeping it nice and making it a very nice public appearance where citizens say, well, at least they're taking good care of our tax dollars, our equipment, by keeping it, clean, dry, and all that. So.
Thank you. All right, next for you, we'll jump to the next page and start talking about the Hillcrest, first one, Hillcrest Phase 3. I'll let you give us a rundown on that.
Okay, the first thing there, the flooring and the remainder of Hillcrest, that will be the immediate back hallway where the judges and everything, that will get us, the flooring and stuff back there, the painting, back there. Mr. Chairman, that landscaping there, if you want to, we could actually scratch that. Mr. Howard and I have talked, and he thinks between him with with a little bit of labor and a little bit of money maybe from the building ground side, that we could probably come up with that landscaping for Hillcrest all on our own, without doing this. So if you would scratch that 25. So now we're down to building and codes expansion. Mr. Caney had me put a place marker in there, because we really didn't know what was actually wanted by Mr. Bobo. So we put in 25. We did draw it out. Keith Garrett drew it out for us as Mr. Bobo first wanted. And we come up with about $65,000, what it would take. What they're looking at, with the influx of the subdivisions, things like that. If you've ever been in here now, that since COVID has taken place, they're only letting so many in a lobby, and the rest are having to wait outside in the hall. Mr. Bobo's lobby is only a third of what anybody else's is. So Mr. Bobo originally has requested that we give him more lobby area. We won't do anything to the hallway or anything. This is strictly inside his doorway. Tax assessor's office has been gracious to give up 2 offices, and we would actually just kind of bring the lobby area into those 2 offices. Mr. Bobo's clerks are almost on top of one another. There's very rare that you can get a 6-foot safe distance between the employees there at the window. So we looked at doing this and Mr. Garrett drew it out and we had a contractor just come in and say, if it can be done for this, yes, no, whatever, so we would have a better figure to go off of. So then we wound up with the 65,000. Since then, Mr. Bobo has asked that maybe we go in and totally remodel the whole office and kind of give instead of cubicles that the workers are in there, when they come into the office, maybe doing some type of a 3/4 wall for office space for them. We worried about whether and how this would change any of the ductwork, anything like that, that we've been in there, if the diffusers, anything like that, if those walls would be in the way of adequately cooling, heating those offices and everything. And we're not at a problem there, but now we've gone 65, we're up into close to 100,000, but in reality, I think we can get what he originally wanted, which is more lobby area and a little bit more space where he can, Miss Madge Bird is in there now, and basically her desk is sitting in the hallway. If you walk through their door, she's just there in the middle. She has no office. She just sits there. So part of these two offices from the assessors, she would be into one of those cubby holes also, and plus giving them a little bit of extra lobby space there. But we would not be changing the outward appearance of that. No extra glass windows, anything like that. We would just be giving them a little more space where they could, behind the counter and customer space.
I don't like the idea of changing the space for the building code. I know they need some space. But see, that's what Bill is. Everybody needs a little bit of space, and all we're doing is turn around, changing everybody's office. When we started, we started a change that we don't want to do. We did the same thing for probation and parole. We did the same thing for the magistrate office. Ever since this building has been here, we continue to bring people in, continue to change the office space and put more money where it's not necessary. If you're gonna put money into something, I believe you need to put money into some space that everybody can be at least comfortable. Because when this building was built, it wasn't built for the magistrate office at all. The magistrate had enough place over at the detention center, but all of a sudden they need to be in here. So we made space for them. And now somebody else needs space for probation and parole. And I've been in that building code, I want to call maybe it's a conference room, and it is crowded in there. It is a crowded space. But I think we need to look at somewhere to give them the space that they need, and not that we continue to remodel this building to comfort everybody. $100,000 could easily go into this building down here and make it accessible to a whole lot of people. We're spending money in places that we don't need to necessarily spend money in, and to make changes here and there, and all of a sudden we're gonna have to turn around and make another change. But that's just my take on it. I really feel like a building is supposed to be used what it was built for. When you start trying to make all those changes within the building, all you're doing is compensating here, compensating there, and eventually it's not gonna be a workable position for anybody in the end. But,
All right, how about parking lot upgrade?
Parking lot upgrade, due to the amount of requests that's on here, I would certainly forego that. The signage, I think maybe we can cut that price down or cut that to 20,000. And maybe use maybe see how we land with building and grounds, if there would be some little money left over in building maintenance at some point in time. And and see what we can do with that. But, council was gracious enough to,
Tell us what that sign would be for.
that sign, would actually be for where I'm at. The main sign down here, like at the red light, we're looking at some type of digital signage. Something like what the Commission of Public Works has, a lot of the churches are going to it. You know, that would have, that a sign like that would have actually come in handy, you know, when we closed our building due to COVID, you know, when you could type your messages on there and let the public know from the road before they got in here and got in our cone maze that we had, but, you know, something like that, but, certainly looking at cutting that just to see if we could, do something, with that, with maybe a little more funds from the building and ground side, from a line item, if we have something left over, just try it and see. Council last year was gracious enough to give me $107,000 to do what I could at Hillcrest, and I spent $106,459. So, you know, if that's the consensus of council to do again, you know, I'll take the money, I'll go as far as I can, and we'll come back next year and ask for anything else. This year, we, got the outside of the building pressure washed, the whole building's been repainted. You know, we've done a lot of flooring and a lot of painting. And, I stretched it as far as I could, and, Mr. Alan Robertson, our building grounds foreman, he went to bat, and really pulled some of these, people out of the woodwork to give us bids and quotes, and we hammered on them, and we've done a lot with a little. So, you know.
And we appreciate that greatly. And we'll-
I like the idea of signing. We had too many people riding all around this whole county trying to find
Us.
where they want to need to go, and they need to
We're
help.
hard to find.
We are, and so we need to make sure it's supposed to be available and accessible, and so. I'm glad that you got that.
Even College Presses can't find us.
True.
Well, really?
With the address and the GPS.
Well, one lady told us she put it in a GPS to come to the office that's located in here, and they,
Right to
to the historical.
It sends them to the.
I don't know exactly what she said. she was
Carolina
looking
Street,
for.
been there too. There's some that still say Caroline Street on
Yeah.
them. But
And the last two things there, the PPP to Church Street, that 110 is there again as a place marker. That is a bare bones number just to get them in there.
we're still hopeful for some state support.
Very hopeful, I've got my fingers crossed that hopefully we may hear something in the next week or two. And then the solicitor and public defender, Mr. King had a place marker. We put up 75,000, because I have no idea what they're wanting yet until we get we get PPP out of there, and then we figure out what their needs are and how they want to rearrange and restructure up there.
All right, well, appreciate that. Dale, would you be so kind to go grab the sheriff for me, sir? And whomever else you have with him.
It was HVAC, road, historic courthouse, library. Those were the only 4 projects I had on the bottom.
Okay, the library.
And I think there was October on the library.
Hey, Sheriff.
I think some of that.
I understand Al and all in agreement with what we need. so I
Absolutely, yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, I told him you were giving us $3 million check, so we make it happen.
Certainly appreciate it.
You know what I said? Shannon, what did I say? I told you that you didn't need anything on here, and you would have it.
It doesn't have to be a total.
That might happen as soon as Mickey starts growing hair.
I tried.
It's a miracle growth.
That's one package.
You know,
Chris, get some steel wool. Or sandpaper.
Oh, no, yeah, right.
hey,
My actually give us the share. Is Evans? Okay. Or, so I got, that's Don's packet. That's what Mr. Evans sent over on the Capitol. We have what, Mickey, what you sent us yesterday. And we have what Mr. Evans has sent. What we're doing, guys, is we're going over all the capital, just discussing it. We're not deciding right this second what to spend. But we want to review all the capital, and then we'll start deliberating on what direction to go. So do you want to start at on the sheriff's? Do you have a copy of the Capital 600 sheet? I can put it up. You can read it off of here. Miss Sanders, or Miss Walsh, would you mind printing the sheriff, the copy for the sheriff on the 600? Okay, there we go.
I think ours falls in line, it just looks a little bit different.
Okay. That way you can see what we're looking at. So I'll tell you what, Sheriff, we'll start with you, and then we'll go back to the jail side. Is that okay? Okay. So the big packet, guys, that we just handed out, that's gonna be the sheriff's request packet, and we can reference whatever we need to there. I do see these, oh, wait, here we go. We're in the 2022 column. Real quick, Sheriff, before we get started, or Mickey, this sheet you sent us, you got 21, 22. Did you mean 21 for this upcoming year?
Yeah.
Okay. So guys, the first column on the left is the one we're actually looking at. We're working on the FY 22 budget, but it is 2021. I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. So we're actually looking in that left-hand column on the monies as we're going through here. All right, Sheriff. First one on your list is the vehicles.
Well, there's a little bit of variance there, but that's because of the increase.
Right.
Cost. It ain't gonna increase again, I'm sure. So
And
that's
we'll,
the sadness, we were part of that.
Yeah. And we'll make those adjustments as we're going through here.
Do you have this one? You guys have this one, that's the one we're going off of, right?
Yes, is that what you sent me?
Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
Does that one reflect 392?
Yes.
Yeah. I have no idea where
The big packet.
You got this packet right here.
Do you have one of those? The big one.
That's what you submitted.
That's it. Yes, starting that for. Put it on the back.
It's okay. We're going off your
Well, it
list.
makes no
That's like
difference
me in
what we
math
put in.
class. I've just got the whole thing show me.
That's not necessarily work a lot of times. I mean, we may submit 400,000, you might put 350.
So we'll readjust what you got right here on this page. We got the,
But we have so many cars, we've got probably half dozen cars over 200,000 miles, and a lot of us approaching it. And these cars here would only help bring our road fleet up to responding to these, the road patrol we call it. That's not to say anything about all these other cars we have with the SROs and investigators and the guys who serving the warrants that have a lot of miles. So we say we try to get 8 cars, that we try to look at the road patrol to keep those guys safe. That's not to speak of across the board. So if we could get these cars, we'd be able to move some of these cars that are on road patrol, it's in a little bit of shape for these other guys, keep moving the cars around like chess pieces. We have our fleet pretty much, we've done well in a sense. We have a lot of old cars out there in bad shape. We just had to part one yesterday. And we don't have cars to park. They're going, we're just about to the point they're gonna walk. As far as numbers.
We currently only have one spare vehicle at the sheriff's house.
I was going to be ready to do my next question. I just want to see, how much per vehicle or?
What vehicle are you looking at? What model? What do you want to?
Well, we have tried, I know the Explorer bumped up in cost, but you either pay on the front or you pay on the back end. These Dodges, we put some Dodge Chargers out there because they cost less. But they're not gonna hold up like these Explorers do for this terrain that they have to run in and out of these driveways and these horse paths that we have. Not talking trails, but these horse paths that we have around this county on these back roads in and out of. These Dodges are not, Chargers are not gonna hold up. And I'm scared to death. I told him the other day, let's go eat our lunch somewhere down the road, trying to, on the front end, to try to supply cars at a cost. But you're not paying now, but you're gonna pay later. These Explorers will hold up. They cost a little more, but they'll hold up so much better. They'll bring more money when we go get rid of them. So, yeah,
So we're looking about 49 a vehicle. That's
something
what-
like that.
And that's upfitted with all of the things you need.
That's it.
And we're hopeful that that new F-150 might come around at the same price point as the Explorer too.
Yeah, y'all are using, I think, the treasurer's office, the clerk's office bought y'all a couple of those.
Are these cars available now to y'all?
I'm talking to purchase, you talking about?
Yeah.
I wish.
I was just getting ready to ask, have we gotten all the ones we ordered this year yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a wish list, man, I get it.
Well, I know, but I know it takes a long time to get the cars here. By the time you order, 6 months.
I think the vehicles that you guys allowed last budget, they were ordered mid-August, I think, Billy. And we just rolled them out to the deputies last week.
Wow. So we're running about a year behind on getting them anyways.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions for the sheriff on the recommendation on the vehicles? All right, we'll bump down to the scanner for the courthouse.
I know there's been a discussion as far as a body scanner versus a belt. I mean, purses, pocketbooks and such, they bring on body scanners, they're going to have to leave them in the car. My understanding is they're leaving them in the car now because it's broken, it's not working. So these guys, they're having to meet them outside and let them leave their pocketbooks in the car. If you have a body scanner, you're gonna have to get some kind of policy that's gonna dictate that. They can't bring these bags in. You're gonna have to have a body scanner and a belt where you can put the items on the belt, do both. So that's up to.
So I have a question for, I know we talked about a body scanner in jail before, which is one thing, but would a body scanner not be a little intrusive for folks who's coming in to pay their taxes?
Well, that definitely is a heck of a debate.
It's similar to the one you walk through at the airport.
It's gonna be, I mean,
This one?
yeah. I mean, that's, yeah, and I understand, some people wouldn't wanna walk through it, they'd be concerned.
How accurate is a system like what we have now?
Hey, it's about a doggone, the belt, and that guy that's standing out there that won, let's be realistic, I'm not gonna raise my right hand and say, hey, I'm good, I'd leave my gun in the car. I'm not gonna feel good, I don't feel good. But on the other hand, the body scanner, not, like I said, they're going to leave the pocketbooks in the car, you're not gonna be able to do both jobs with a body scanner. Body scanner would be much more efficient, but then it's not going to do both.
That'd be my only concern is the invasion
Yeah.
or the perceived
That's another.
invasiveness of that body scanner. What, if we went back with a belt and a walkthrough, what kind of dollar figures do y'all?
About 30,000.
total?
22,000.
He said quotes in that,
Is it in here?
yeah.
It's 22,000 for the belt scanner roughly, and then plus the additional for the walkthrough metal detector.
It's a necessity to jail, absolutely, for all suits and people lives, but here, we put it in here because it was discussed.
Right.
21,900 for the bail and 3,200 for the walkthrough.
3,200.
Yeah. It was what, 25,000.
All right. If we deliberate and decide that's a better route to go for the courthouse, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Are you gonna tell me that just won't work? We don't need it anyways. I mean,
It's
I don't
just
want-
older technology.
And it was maybe better. I don't, how that's been since the courthouse has been here. The one we got in there, short, soon there.
Currently, if you walk through there and it makes a noise, they get the wand out, go over your body.
And you talk about intrusive, this is what's scary. If you actually spend a little time and stand up there, any of these courthouses sometimes, that thing goes off, step over here. Yeah, okay, and you got trust in that belt buckle sometimes. They're not putting hands on and all, so you know, on one side in today's world, that body scanner would show you all the cartoons in there, and you'd be able to see, versus you just hoping that you get a blessing there, because it worries me. I've been in Greenwood, seen the same thing done, so I'm not knocking Lawrence County. But when they walk in there, that thing bursts, and it's a step off to the side. I mean, you know, they believe it in their heart. I just hope it's, you know, sometimes you wonder. I mean, it's,
The body scanner would just, particularly when they walk in, I know that it is a little bit of a motion to walk through and such, but if they do have something on their person that detects something, it'll tell you where it's detected.
it'll show you.
Whether it's an arm, wrist, ear.
But I'm not gonna argue the truthfulness of it. I understand that.
And because I mean, even personnel, or when I say personnel, like the attorneys, the folks that are coming here on a regular basis, the real estate agents.
Yeah.
They kind of know the raw. I get that we got some bad characters in this county. But would we institute any kind of like pass for the regulars, like, for example, in Columbia, which they actually have a belt and a walkthrough, but like all the lobbies have a tag, and if you got, as long as you got a tag, you can walk on by and bypass everything. You remember what it was like down there.
They always check me either.
I got you.
Safety meetings and
We've discussed that in those courthouse safety meetings,
Okay.
having something for particular personnel.
Yeah.
To bypass it. I know currently some solicitor office folks, if they go out and meet with some folks, they bypass it. I mean, they work in the building. So I mean.
Like Greenwood County has a tag system you wear around your neck.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's different options.
Okay.
We're not gonna argue press about the body scanner. It was just discussed. It would be good, but I understand it.
It would it cut down, any of it's gonna cut down on the bottleneck we're dealing with now. So. Okay. All right, well, let's move on to the computers.
Well, as far as the replacement of servers and upkeep and laptops, the guys, let's face it, technology is the way of their world too, you know, so. A lot of this stuff was, time on it, it needs to be replaced.
So how many people is this gonna outfit, or I guess it's, some of it's server, some of it's
Yeah,
computers.
correct. Uniform patrol, everybody on uniform patrol's computer for block when the sheriff came in, so it's time to upgrade everybody on uniform patrol again, and then other portion of the servers.
And then I see through, looks like y'all are planning for future years, which is great, but is it really gonna cost us that much per year for computers?
they what, about 2,400 fees.
I do know y'all
Then we put in like, you know, admin computers in the office. You know, we bought some of them when he first came in, Sheriff first came in, and then updated those. The in-car camera server, the record management server, you know,
But a lot of the stuff, when I first come in, it's so old, it needs to be replaced because it's all, it's kind of a, I don't want to come there one day and we can't close shop. We model tomorrow and next week.
Percentage per year that you're
see,
replacing.
we did a third, you know, really, it's, we do uniform patrol with our, you know, bread and butter.
How many computers you have then? 120?
Probably so, I mean, you know, they're,
Because that looks like you're rolling over at your cost about 46 a year in this budget with that number,
yeah, roughly, yeah. I mean, and that's just, you know,
giving it a 3-year lifespan.
yeah, that's what,
Especially on patrol.
their laptops are in the heat, the cold, you know, and that's those tough books, which is a little bit more than, you know, consumer grade.
We tried to experience, we tried a cheaper laptop, originally with uniform patrol, around the $900 price point. It just doesn't hold up.
They get damaged to you.
Yeah.
Screens.
They go in and out of their car all day with them, going to people's houses, have people sign forms. It's just it's kind of like EMS, you know, it's constantly going in and out.
What, did we do anything on that last year, the year before? You recall?
Year 4, I'll let that.
Okay. All right. Let's go down. So on my sheet, I have a records management system. On your sheet, I have, we're just out of order. It's not a big deal. You have, on your sheet, you have a secure parking area.
We approached that before, you know, securing that, fixing that back there, how records still have it open and public, but when we
if I recall, we actually approved that last year and we ended up changing it for,
I think y'all approved $10,000 to do it.
and we found out it was more.
It was
A lot more, and then we utilize that, we spend it over securing the building. The doorways and all,
Key fob system has been a great
Yes.
addition to the sheriff's office.
and that way we can control people with keys and cut them off if they anything, turn just shut them off when they can't get in.
But the back parking lot is an issue.
Those cars sitting back there wide open, sometimes they got equipment on them. It's kind of hairy sometimes. Plus anybody can wander in and play with the car if they want to.
So remind us again, it just encompasses that parking lot behind, where's the gate gonna be?
It's gonna be, when you come that alleyway between the old jail and the house, it'll be on that side there.
It's gonna run perpendicular with Main Street.
Yeah, that's right.
All right,
And the biggest portion of that, I think the fence here was like 10 or 11 fence. It's just that gate that opens up is the big problem too.
and would that be clickers or how do you guys?
So it's a key system.
All right, next on your list, I've got the records management system. And now on our list, we're showing 4.25, you're showing 343.
We just got an updated quote,
Awesome.
behind that, so.
I like that lower number.
yeah.
All right, talk to us about that, Sheriff.
That's the interface, that's put us in touch with the dispatch. When Zerker was first implemented with the dispatch, it would have been really helpful and needed to have been a conversation with somebody to put it all in play at one time. That would have made my guys out down the road be able to communicate with these calls through the computer, be up to date with everything, moment by moment. And we're out of touch. We don't want an antiquated system now or nothing. So my guys are limited to what they can do. And it'd be much more safe, it'd be a lot safer and secure.
So help me understand exactly, when you say communicate, does that mean 911 can see where your officers are at? Does that mean they can, if that person has a history in the system, it automatically goes to
They
the
can
car?
read each other, they can read each other.
The call goes straight to the computer.
They can see it on screen, that they're communicating, in real time.
So what's happening right now?
Can you hear me? Okay, good.
They have a key up to talk, and unfortunately, only one person at a time can do that, so when one guy's trying to talk, and sometimes too much, nobody else can say a word or ask a question or clarify anything. It's just not very safe or
So like you pull me over and you run my driver's license number, they're having to tell you everything about me versus
They
where
can't
you
go,
punch
they
it
can't,
in.
they can check it, and
Wow.
it would speed things up, make it safer.
We're one of the very few counties that touches to still just run off radio.
We don't, they say that when it was first, like I said, when Zerker went in down there, they should have gloved up. The conversation would have had, it didn't happen.
And it was safer for the deputies as well because they can look up the call history at that particular location that they're going.
And I actually got a phone call the first day, the first week in office, asking me, because I think it was about the time he rolled in, asking me, why were we not linking up with it? I told him I didn't have knowledge or understand.
All right, now the difficult question, is this all or nothing, or could this be phased in?
It's an all or nothing deal with the servers.
I think it's just,
We currently run law tracks and have been running law tracks for what, 15, 20 years?
yeah, we're still on that window 2000.
It's pretty old.
All right. If anybody has any questions while we're talking, please interject by all means.
Okay, what did Joey say about this?
That's the system he uses.
He changed over that system by the time I come out. I mean, it's he updated. We just got left in the ditch, so. We are the most in touch people with the dispatch. I mean, everything we do is through dispatch. Everything we do is through their system, and we have to have their assistance. It's a shame, and I know y'all implemented a lot of money for them to go to that system, a great deal of money. And that would have been the ideal time to have done it, but it was not done, so now we need to hook up and be able to mesh with we can work efficiently. That's what we're here to do, the best job we can, and that would enable us to do the job we need.
It would interface really well. So, I mean, if the dispatcher takes any information from the caller, whoever's calling 911, that information comes straightly to the deputy. And then when it's time to do the report, it speeds up that process as well, because all that intertwines. So all that information taken by the dispatcher can then be translated over to the incident report. And it just speeds up productivity so much faster.
Would also help on freedom of information request.
Correct.
We just did a 528 page thing. We had to get it through 911.
What is the software? It's not a Zerker product, but it works with the Zerker CAD, right?
Correct. And I think they just changed names. if I'm not correct.
Central Square or something.
Yeah, they just changed names.
That's all. Central Square, all kinds of stuff.
And it replaces all tracks, does everything you need it to do, but it will interface with the Zerker CAD.
And that's some of the costs associated as well, because they will come in and take all that record management from Wall Tracks and put it into Zerko.
How many counties around us are using?
Similar platforms.
Yeah.
Most of them. Greenwood, I mean, all of them.
I know you all talked to you about already,
Yes, ma'am.
so that's what I was just. Thank you.
If we switch to this, is there an ongoing software cost that will go into your budget? Okay, how big is that?
40, is it 38 plus 42? How much is that? That's 45,000
That's the first year, and I think it does go down a little after the first year, correct?
first year maintenance and the first year subscription, so the rest of the year.
Y'all are cheaper than the fire radios. We'll start there. But that's what, we would need to take that all into consideration.
I think.
I mean, I see it as a safe thing for the deputies, because you pull over somebody that's really bad, it might take 3 or 4 minutes for dispatch to tell you, hey, that's a bad guy.
They say, wow,
It takes longer.
depending on what's going on across the county in radio.
Training, and you can, get to the point where you can put the tag in on the computer and you have information there before.
The deputies could actually
Not tying
run
up.
a lot more tags and be a lot more productive with that system, because they wouldn't. A lot of times, I know from instance, I might not run this particular tag that I really want to run because something else is going on that's important on the radio. I don't want to tie it up. With that system, he could sit there and run it on his computer and be like, oh, I definitely got that close.
Oh, wow. I wasn't that good. Okay. All right, next. It says software, but based on the dollar figure, I'm assuming that's the email upgrade.
Yeah, 365.
We currently use the free Google Gmail for our whole entire department.
This will be much more for security wise, and I think y'all use the same
I
thing. We're just trying to come up y'all level, that's all. Ms. Anderson, we're just trying to come up your level.
And that's a, if I read it correctly, that would be an annual.
I think it is.
This one, all right, it's time out. This one being capital, this would actually be in operations, is what I'm being told.
Yes.
Due to that, so we need
It's a
to,
subscription of 144 per employee annually.
all right, so we're gonna scratch it on capital. We'll make sure that it's, when we go over your O and M at a later date, we'll make sure that's in there for consideration. Next is, trying to make sure we're following the in-car cameras.
They, we're in pretty bad shape with the cars, because a lot of them are 8, 10 years old. They've been taken out of cars, put in cars, beat, banged on. And let's face it, when cameras first come into existence, I don't know how it's true, I hate the thoughts of it, but it'll make you a break. So you got to have them.
I happen to know the state does some grants, and I know they're few, but are we taking advantage of that program?
We've been fortunate with the body cam side of it, not in-car camera. So the county has not had to purchase very many body cameras. The grant has purchased them. The county's pretty much, instead of paying for body cameras, you're paying for in-car cameras. One and not the other. And I think you allowed us 5 last year. So the new vehicles we got this last go around got all brand new cameras.
So we talked on the vehicles earlier, the 49 apiece, did that include a camera in there, or that just lights and computer stuff?
Yes, that included
And
cameras.
that's what I started camera.
Okay, so
These 5 or 6 we have here, we got 40 something of big cameras in it that still got them.
so that's what I was trying to get to. These are replacing existing.
Yeah, that
vehicles. This one going new.
That costs according to the camera. These other cameras are supplements, some of these are bad.
The vehicle price last year was not enough to cover cameras.
I'm tracking.
So the 5 that you allowed us last year went to the new cars.
And I think the county attorney would agree that also helped with the FILO information, and Lord help us with that situation we needed. And that covers Remind me one more time, 6 cameras, 5 cameras?
Yeah, it's 5,000, 5,018, I think so.
Okay, so we're looking at 6.
And the
there.
computer, the IT and server stuff, that one we're asking is probably $8,000 or $10,000 for a server to update that one, so we can get updated software to help out with that. The camera had a little issue with the older software on the camera system.
I got you.
So
Does the camera have a hard drive in like the trunk of the car or whatever and it gets downloaded when you get back?
yeah, we got it wireless, but we just pull up. Or we can pull it out and do it manually and sensitive type things or whatever important.
All right, next, you got more in yours than we have on our list.
The taser,
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll have them as we go.
this was the deal with the taser, you know, like cameras, sometimes y'all would say, just maybe we need to get a new camera. But taser, this taser deal now, they saying for this one price, that includes the tasers, the service agreement, the replacement cartridges to keep us in cartridges. So they, you can't get one taser, so to speak, or 2 tasers. So they putting you in a position where you're gonna have to do business. You get X number of tasers, and then you get a service agreement, replacement cartridges.
They're making you do a contract now versus.
And it's, in essence, when that contract runs out, these guys using tasers that are 10 and 15 years old, unbelievable. These guys have been living on a wing and a prayer out here. I had a guy come to me Friday, man, with a gun. He had his taser. It didn't work. Now, that's not right to put a deputy in that position. If he thinks that taser is gonna supplement that thing. And I thank God, that we've been fortunate and blessed and that worked out like it did. But when he come look me in the eye, he said, man, I didn't feel good. We had one taser laying back in the back, and it's sometimes that's been questioned. I support with it. That's sad that we don't have, and that's it. These guys right here living on wing and prayers. These tasers are also an absolute. So, and when they come up with this deal here where they said, like you said, a contract, you pay this X dollars, and we're gonna furnish you this number of tasers and cartridges, and this agreement's gonna supply, keep you in business. That's the reason the price changed on that. You didn't know that.
So I'm inquiring about if that needs to be an operating for one starters, and then for 2, because of the cost of them independently, they don't
Well, I
qualify.
don't care how we get it, I don't care.
But, and 2, the time that's a 5-year contract, don't we always have issues with that? Sam?
Yeah, well, most of those companies will do a funding issue that if there's not a non-appropriation clause. We have those, any 1 year, more than 1 year contract has to have a non-appropriation clause. And most of the companies understand that because that's dependent upon your budget being passed every year.
Yes, sir.
This council can't bind next year's council over one after that. So, but that most companies nowadays, at least, I've never had any problem with them.
I think that's the way their contract.
So in other words, they give us a 3-year contract, come next year, this council
Could not fund it.
change, then they'll let us out of contract.
Correct. No penalty.
And I think that's the way the Axon body camera contract looked when we looked at doing it. Basically, Taser is part of Axon, and they just started doing what their body camera side did.
How many tasers, you got upgrade tasers, but I'm looking over.
30.
This one will put 35 tasers, so that's 30 tasers.
30 or 35.
It's 30.
You can take
So
it.
that'd be the whole uniform patrol, and then we bought some of them the last couple of years. We pull those back, to give them to,
Correct.
the resource officers. Other, you get rid of the ones that.
Well, yeah, you could, well, either way.
It's just a reconcile.
But it had full warranty, 5 year, the whole 5 year warranty, if it breaks, they keep it up.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Instead of where we are now,
We have 17 sitting in the vault, we can't do anything.
we get 100% first year, second.
So that 20,000 covers 35 tasers, that's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
And all the cartridges.
They provide you.
That's a constant supply of cartridges.
Okay.
There's about $30 a piece too.
What's the cartridge?
No,
It's the
the-
pros.
Is that what shoots those probes out there, you saw?
you're gonna be a test subject, we'll let them give us a demonstration.
We don't want to-
$10 million insurance type things that,
Part of that
pursue.
contract. It does come with a insurance
I
policy.
just need to see the contract.
Oh, yeah, we,
Go sign.
We don't, we just, in the quote, don't have that here.
I'm still.
so they're, So because we can actually keep this in the capital line items. But it would be a depreciable asset, obviously. But I would like, if we end up approving this, I'd like to see it to operate moving forward, since it will be a contract. All right, next on your list, I see sheriff's office, existing floor, ceiling tiles, paint walls, 25,000.
Well, you know, that's just out of habit. You get tired of tripping over carpet, we put it in there. It's like the ocean coming in down Myrtle Beach on this carpet road. So we get tired of tripping over the waves, so put it in there out of habit.
And that's the 25,000, is that gonna cover what you need?
Well, my henchman, my advisor over here. told me,
We take it far
I
as
don't
we
know where he got it.
can.
Quote on it.
We'll
When
take
people come in to meet with us or to the sheriff or to the county uniform patrol, it's the old carpet that's original to the building. It's just peeling up. You know, I don't know if we can go with squares like this. I don't know, just basically updated.
On this 30 something years old, I guess it's done pretty well.
Okay.
Turn it over to the other side.
Yeah.
I tried it.
You get 30 more years.
All right, next one, purchase ALPR.
Automated tag room.
Talk to us about that.
Well, that's just a device or something to help us. Well, actually like suspended tags for not paying their property taxes, and they sit around everywhere. I was on I-10 Pro, they sit around all the parking lots, a lot of places. You're looking for Amber Alert, you're looking for, you're looking for anything and everything. I mean, it's a violation that it can be a great tool. And it'll integrate with these guys' laptops, so it's just another tool.
How many is that? Does that cover? That's one.
But you could score pretty well with it, I imagine, but that's just another tool.
When we had that home invasion several months ago, if y'all remember that, the guy that went up to different states and come back, we had to rely on the state to use their LPR to try to locate that individual.
It was tracking him. Every once in a while, he'd run through one, beep, it flagged off and tell us where they last saw him,
It's a pretty neat system. He was flagged in Charlotte. Before you know it, he was back in our campus.
Mickey, what's the odds of BJA grant on this? Cause I think we have actually asked for it before.
Oh, yeah,
I knew you had.
No,
No, we've been denied.
so 19, yeah, it depends on what the BGA grant, what comes out money with it. I mean, that's a possibility, you know. They help law enforcement, help county with collecting.
Oh, for tax money, that tax money, a lot of vehicles scattered around, vehicle license suspended because they didn't pay their tax. It'll assist in a lot of it.
Yeah. We'll take that suspended tag off and, you know.
All right, next back on the list is the patrol rifles.
Well, we've gotten weapons at 10:30, and that's kind of, it is what it is, whether for the rifle itself, the condition, or who it really belongs to. These are, once again, this is a tool that's not pleasant to think about or talk about. It's kind of like when we had a land SWAT, but it's a necessity. These guys need to have what they need to have at the moment.
What rifle is it?
There's a couple different ones we can choose from. We've tested 3 different rifles. The problem with the 1033 rifles is right now, number one, they're super old. I think it's like
Vietnam.
World War II or something. I don't
That's what I
know.
meant. What
They're
kind
super
of-
old.
what you- 223.
Yeah, they are 223. All of them are 223. But they're just, with 1033, if you change any part of that rifle and you have to give the gun back, you have to put the original parts back on it that the 1033 provided you with. So you got all these different parts and they come in yearly and do these audits on these guns. It is, like the sheriff said, it is what it is. The thing that I'm not a big fan of when they do come do these audits, we have to take all the rifles up from all the deputies. They have to be at the sheriff's office. They come in and do their audit. So there's a window there that could not be potentially very good. So it's just, it ties our hands a lot. It's useful to get us what we need at this present point in time, but we need to start looking at integrating that in and getting everybody replaced and away from that program, from that particular use.
That's definitely something we probably phase in if we have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
How often do you use the rifle?
Man, I hope we don't ever use it.
Well, I hope.
I mean, they practice with them, but I hope we don't ever use them. Man, I truly do. They practice to be efficient, but I hope they don't ever.
That's what I'm just saying.
The SWAT team practices with them weekly.
Their officers have wear a sidearm for 30 years and never grow it. And that's the greatest thing, but, you know, unfortunately, that's not
I
always.
don't see Lawrence County being Chicago.
I hope not, man.
Illinois, I don't see it being. I think that's what sometimes. It's, you know, protection and protection.
Well, I don't think we have as much of the influence, man, as they have other places. And I'm thankful for that, you know.
And we have been fortunate in the past to replace some of the rifles, as Billy was just saying, we have bought county-owned, I think we have 8 county-owned rifles that the sheriff had several seized weapons that were able to go up, and we worked with the company to trade those items out. So, I mean, when we have the ability to do so, we try. But we just don't have that right this particular second.
All right, next, evidence equipment.
You talking about this,
Hang on, I got 2.
Brandon Lab evidence process?
Hold on.
You know, this may end up being one of those same type of operating budget sections instead of.
Instead of a
What
capital.
we did, we were looking to get an ACUS machine, which deputy goes out, takes fingerprints on the crime scene. They get the fingerprints, you know, now we have to go send them off to SLED, other agencies to get them to run the fingerprints.
We have to lean on Anderson. I run call to Anderson constantly, take the prints, to get them analyzed. And that's, I appreciate it. And that's great of them to help us. We run calls up there consistently to do fingerprint comparisons. Whereas this thing here,
And then we were able to get the machine, the system, but we gotta find the maintenance and
service agreement.
service agreement.
So basically, the machine's online, we're paying for the service agreement, is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah.
Would that be in here?
Yeah, so so the 10,000, and it's not on our.
Yeah, ACUS on that sheet, that's probably in that crime lab stuff.
Okay,
Yeah, it's under crime lab and evidence.
well, I'm gonna ask Ms. Kirk to make sure that's in the O and M side.
Evidence equipment, it's something that puts evidence equipment on that two-page sheet you have.
You got 100
7,000, that's the price, that machine about from
He,
70, 80.
he must have been including the price of the actual machine in that number.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause
That's exactly what, that's what he was doing. All right, so we're gonna move that 10 that you're requesting over to the O and M side. Is that everybody have that? All right. And the yeah, crime lab, I'll give you this one, but yeah. I'll give you my copy. All right, so we're gonna scratch this one then, and we're gonna move I like that idea, that makes 100% sense. Now when it gets older, are they gonna rotate in new equipment as we need it? How does that work? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I mean, I guess the agreement, it'll update it, fix it, or whatever, you know.
That might take.
That'll be as good, but we got the use of the machine, we have the machine, that'd be as good, and I guess, conversation that to have with them as far as what y'all,
We can ask.
what y'all can do for it.
All right. Let's talk about the SWAT equipment. You got 73 on here. Is that more accurate than the 95 that I have on my sheet?
Yes.
Okay.
And I got this, I think it council maybe on that, go back to what we just talked about, you don't ever want bad moments, but these guys they're here to protect people and property. And my guys right now are not suited to stand up to anything, they have to stand down. I mean, they don't have the equipment to step out there and try to calm things down and put their neck on the line. So this here gives them the pads, the suit, the helmets, the stuff that they need to step out there in harm's way to be able to try to calm things down. And I hope that doesn't happen, man, but it does. It's sad for all my guys that's there to protect everyone. Y'all have to get behind a tree too, so that's not gonna help anybody.
All right. So just to review, in the 73, so I see 6 night vision goggles, the pro phone, and then riot gear. What all was that?
Well, I'm asking the helmets, the pads, the soup, so to speak. You got
So that'll outfit,
you got
how
shields.
many people was that outfit? 6?
But we got 35 of the outfits to put the uniform folks in,
Uh-huh.
and then put down like 6 shields or whatever like that, just to, so.
In other words, the six,
Okay.
everybody doesn't need a shield, that would outfit 35 people, because if I only have 6, 8, or 10, 12 people, and they're at the wrong place, or something goes wrong, I can't get those people called in, then it just makes it.
So each road deputy would have a
Have a
set in a vehicle.
Yeah.
Be able to respond at any time.
And I have a much better chance, more people I have, if something goes, to get them called in here, if they're all outfitted.
And that's what SWAT teams do, they all call in, they don't come out.
Well, our SWAT team doesn't exist for that now, I'm talking about, they would have the equipment.
Officer safety equipment, which one you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the SWAT team currently doesn't have any of the riot helmet gear. They have SWAT helmets to not get.
But even the SWAT team itself doesn't have this equipment, that's why I say they're in harm's way. But even my guys, and the other guys don't even have what the SWAT members have, or the helmet. I can't, I mean, they would, some of them would, but it's hard to ask a man to step out there in harm's way. Got a family like every one of them's got, and he doesn't even have the equipment to even make a chance of taking care of them.
All right. Let's see, that's all I have on our list, and I think yours, let's see,
Everything else was taken
Grant
care of by
funding.
capital sales and grants.
that's great. All right.
Well, how about animal control? Because we didn't, the reason I said we definitely would be, was outfitted for animal control.
All right. They have their own plan. Let me pull it up, the plan instead of, the plan two chairs for you to come back and do O&M, this animal control has been done that time. But let me just look. They're their own special funds. Let's see it. Yeah, we'll look, with them being in their own fund, and I'd like to have Jeff here too, obviously, during that discussion. So we'll address Fund 117 when we do your 542. We'll go over that then.
So their capital stuff comes out of something different.
They're a self-funding, like solid waste has this, yeah.
I know to get money.
Oh, 'cause they get money on solid waste.
And I know this, is not-
Yeah,
I know this is not the applicable, but get those people, those 3 certified officers aligned with us on.
all right, so let's bump back up to the top of our list, to the jail stuff. We'll try to make sure that we have everything. The only thing that's not on the jail list, and whoever wants to speak on that is the roof. It did not make the list. And we can actually, let's go to the other, we'll address that. So I got security system. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did we not allocate funds out of the inmate welfare to address the cameras?
Yes, we did, and I thought that, they had another occurrence, reoccurrence of some more cameras gone down. That thing out there, is, that outlet system out there, is just ridiculous. Oh, old and,
But I saw some numbers that was in that 240-ish range, if I remember
I
right.
think maybe that was done after this.
Yes, it was.
This could be older,
this could sit,
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I don't know, I haven't seen this. John Kenny might have done this one.
Yeah.
I know
Just that new one where we paid like 80,000, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we got their cameras.
I think the cameras.
Yes.
Yeah, that came out of inmate.
That
welfare.
first-
According to what Don Evans, it's
That just about.
the process has started.
Yes, that $80,000 check was cash and they're.
yeah, because Harold, I spoke to Harold last time, I spoke to Harold, he told me, I think, I can say it's in process.
It's in process.
Servers or something.
He had to buy some switches and yeah, they're definitely working on it.
Okay.
So that's, I think
So
that's.
we're going, like, because this was put together before that occurrence happened and we decided to go that route.
Gotcha.
So we're going to scratch that off the list.
That body scanners.
All right. Because and once again, I think the original plan was to use that money for a body scanner.
Correct.
And then the camera stuff happened, so they use that money for the cameras, which is why the body scanner is back on this list.
Correct.
The body scanner right there is such a need out there, absolutely, because not, I mean, it'll save somebody's life, and then below that, it's gonna save the county.
We had
A
a,
heartache too.
we had a female get brought in by another jurisdiction recently that had drugs hidden on a part of her body that made it to the back. and they started smoking it back there. And so I say that wholeheartedly because if you would have a body scanner, it would pick up these anomalies and they can take more time to focus on, all right, what is this that's hidden per persons? And they can isolate them, they can get search warrant, they can do whatever they need. It's just it's a necessity. When there's, especially now that kind of we're getting away from the whole COVID thing with the jail side of stuff, there's an influx of people coming in there and they need that tool.
Everybody comes to this courthouse, not a crook. A lot of them, are, not everybody. Out there, they're all crooks. So when they come in there, they looking for a way to hide their drugs in their body. They don't want to be swallowed, hide it in their body. And even a small weapon, I mean, they can do anything, and these guys might miss it. That thing up there, not gonna let them miss it. And plus, he won't let them get back there to smoking it, ingest it, and then kill themselves, and we get sued because, you know, so a body scan of the jail is an absolute, I mean, this day and time is an absolute.
Yeah, I completely agree with that out there. And I've been out there when y'all bring people in and they're in a good system.
They get patted down, they get butt naked and get looked that way, but that scanner is.
And any of y'all that don't believe in aliens, I know there's been a lot to you, but if you come out to jail, hang out at Walmart late, I'm gonna show you that you're bad wrong. There are aliens in this world.
That spaceship is landing.
It's somewhere. It's somewhere. I was out of gas, man. It's somewhere.
I saw some kind of show where you have people were throwing it over the fence. I
Yeah.
think it was around here somewhere.
Columbus had a lot of problems with that. Columbus had a lot of
People were throwing
problems
it
with that.
over the fence, the telephone and.
And I'm, Chris, I'm on the back of this page is where I see his capital needs. If y'all wanted to see the one looks like this. Go on the back of that one. Not that one. Right up in that one. All right, next one's SUVs for inmate transports.
What he told me was he was gonna get rid of his oldest, if you don't mind me saying. I talked to Don yesterday, and Don's the SUV, he's gonna get rid of his oldest, which is probably one that come from state surplus, with a couple 100,000 miles on it, and just put in a newer SUV where they, still do transports with their SUVs and stuff.
All right, and that 48, I hope would outfit everything. Is he going to Explorer? Is he going to Durango? What's he going? Do we know?
He had looked at, full size SUV was what he mentioned, because
Okay.
what they got from state surplus, were all Tahoes. They'll try and find something in that
I guess
bigger body style.
My question is that 48 outfits vehicle as well?
You should 35 from the vehicle, depending on which vehicle it goes with.
Yeah, it should, because their equipment is not as much as their equipment.
It's basically, they have lights in theirs, but it's like 2 up here, 2 back here for safety purposes.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's all about the cage of the vehicle.
They're not in pursuit or they're not responding.
I just want to make sure we're covered, that I don't want them to come back in 3 months and say, oh, yeah, by the way, I need more money for this.
And we were fortunate, he used some inmate welfare money not too recently and bought a van for out there as well.
Okay.
So the van was originally gonna be on there, we got the van, we're gonna get rid of an SUV, so we're trying to supplement some of this. And we got really lucky, the van we purchased was an old US Marshals van. I mean, it was a great van with like 40-something thousand miles on it, and it was one of the best equipment cages you can get, it was a really good deal.
Gotcha. All right, I'm showing, yeah, he's spread it over. Spread it out. If you look, he's looking for one a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's all we mentioned, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it shows in the year columns where he's looking. Next, park and fence, do you know what that's encompassing?
He's talking securing the workers' vehicles. Workers' vehicles, when they come into work, they're sitting out, the only gated part is Sally Ford and Evans will be over on the Eagles. So he's talking about making secure area where the workers come in, they can secure the vehicles.
Employees park for general public parks. And when you have preliminary hearings out there with people that have been arrested and now they're back for their hearing, it's just.
That's like a Jerry Springer show at Bond again, because everybody's mad, they want to whip somebody, they're scared, and they might do anything.
Basically similar to what you guys provided us years ago for the impound lot, something similar to that.
And 20, we feel comfortable with that number.
Because he's got an area down below that he can do.
Okay. All right, for that recommendation. Next one is the parking pay.
That's the whole parking area, if y'all don't
Oh,
mind.
yes, sir.
That's the whole parking, his whole asphalted lot out there. Now, he said that, it does have some bad spots in it and everything, but, that's something that could be put aside till the next time, depending on other stuff, getting and all that. And probably, if, go back up to that security system farm.
Yeah.
Now, that 250 from what I'm understanding, Don, and y'all may wanna get him in here to address it too, but what has been addressed is one part of doing it. And I think 250 was another addition to the security system to make the whole complete building under one package.
The lock system.
I think so. I think the way Don was talking.
We got the stuff right here. Let's look.
Well, that lock, the door locking system probably follows after the camera system, so the door locking system.
So the way he talked yesterday was, this is still on top of what's already.
Well, he's got road down here, what? 200? It actually doesn't dictate.
What was already addressed to council or by council was the first phase part of it.
I got it right here, the 243, that's actually on his sheet. What he turned in here is, 4 cameras here, 1 server, 5 licenses, more licenses, memory, more memory, 12 non-working cameras replaced. This is all cameras, it's right here. But that's what they took in a welfare money for, I'm 90% sure of.
I'm sure Billy will, I'll have another conversation, make sure you understand.
I do not deny that they also need the other, but the request that was turned in, that we're working off of is right here. I mean, it's for the
Cameras.
it's for the cameras. All right, Sheriff, does that cover everything you had to present on the Capitol? All right, I thoroughly appreciate y'all coming.
Thank you. Hey,
Was like one.
was this yours, man? Thank you, man.
All right, so right this second, let's take a 5-10 minute recess if anybody needs restroom, grab a snack, and then we'll come back and we'll do the hard part. Thank you, Sheriff. If y'all, does anybody would like the sheriff to stick around in case we have more questions, or what do y'all feel?
Don't leave the county.
If y'all want to hang out for, unless you guys want to. All right. Um, All right, so we're gonna dive into the capital. I'll gladly take recommendations on how anybody wants to proceed. If we wanna go down the list, and somebody speak up and say they absolutely don't want this to make it, or they absolutely want that to make it. I'll take recommendations, and then we'll just start down the list and see where we end up. Yes, ma'am. All right, let's make sure everybody adds a few things that were not included in the sheriff, and we'll go over the changes as well. Make sure everybody's on the same page. So from the top, on the coroner's office, Billy said we could get away with 30 on that with the trade-in of the Taurus.
Could we, add up how, especially, the one that had more than one item, on there. Could we-
You want to know what each department has? So,
Uh-huh.
okay, sure. All right, so let's do the amendments. Let's do what we changed first, and then we'll go back and add, because there were changes. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right, so the security system, we scratched that because they're doing it out of inmate welfare. There it goes. That's your pen ran out on. You see the yellow highlighted there. Good, we're good. The next one down that we changed. All right, in the sheriff, we'll start with the sheriff's line there. The cars went from 360 to 392. The body scanner that they're requesting went to 205.
After his explanation though,
I
I
think
don't know that a body scanner even needs to be
Yeah,
considered.
Let me get the numbers. I'm not a fan of it personally. I think it's too invasive for the average citizen coming to the courthouse. The dollar figure on, if we went with,
The belt and the
the
scanner.
belt and scanner is 25. Let's call it, we got to pay sales tax on that.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's call it,
And you gotta be careful, you know, a lot of these things that they probably put in here like that, you know, there's gonna be shipping charges, things like that. So,
let's call it 30 to be safe. So let's just go ahead and change that line to 30. Is that okay with everybody?
Changing the body scanner to 30.
Yep.
Yes.
And we're gonna go with the belt and walk through versus that. All right. Computers, went from 90 to 111. The records management system went from 4.25 to 343. The software, we are scratching off this list, that will have to be included in O&M. Next, evidence equipment. We scratched, that actually will end up being a O&M piece for a smaller maintenance contract.
So you scratching the whole 107?
Yeah, it was, that what they ended up requesting, they're gonna be able to acquire whatever they were purchasing there, they can acquire the machine from SLED and then pay a $10,000 a year service fee, and they keep the machine, which is a much better option in my opinion. And that'll be moved over to the O&M side. The SWAT equipment was bumped from 95 to 73,000. Down. And then they added, that was not on here previously, tasers at, we'll call it 20 to make it a round number. Building updates for the LEC, 25. Add that, write it down. It's not on the list. These were additions. There's 3 of them. Taser, 20,000.
Building update.
Yes, ma'am. Building updated 25,000.
That's the office.
Then a tag reader at 20,000.
Where was the finger,
That's the 107 that we scratched. They're able to acquire the physical machine and then pay a service contract to SLED. It's on loan, basically. It'll be on loan from SLED if we decide to go that route. Yes, that, you'll see that show up on their O and M when we address their O and M. Next.
The radio stay? Did the radio stay?
No, the radios also scratched. Thanks for saying, catching up. The radios, obviously, due to the passing of the CTST, those will come out of this list. Our next landscaping at Hillcrest, we'll scratch that. We're gonna do that in-house. Building codes expansion, it should already be showing up on your sheet from 25 to 9,000. We're scratching the parking lot this go around. We're going.
What you said about building code, what did you say? That's 25 and leave it 90?
Well, they've requested 9.
Okay. So
Yeah, but that should be showing up, like it should be on your printed sheet.
it is.
Billy requested we scratch parking lot for the time being. Signage went from 45 down to 20.
Is that gonna be enough to get something nice out there?
We'll work toward it. I think with that and, maybe some building ground money and a line item there, maybe I think we can
Can
do
we just up that to 25?
25. be fine.
Sure.
It needs, signage is needed.
Okay.
What's there now, which bad.
Yeah, it's needed, it's really needed.
about what she's saying.
Huh?
I agree with you.
All right, and that's all the corrections that I have recorded. Did I miss anything anybody noticed while we going through that? All right, well, the good news is we've already decreased the request by $924,000 before we even get started. So that is a plus there. So now we're looking at, now our total is 2.478. We still have to get down to 1.159. So anybody have anything that they absolutely want to see?
Mr. Chairman, is there any way we can pull out all one-time costs out of that list? To see if we could address those out of a different way. Maybe
Like a bond or?
bond or one-time spending carryover or something we have from reserve,
Okay. Miss,
just so we can see what that number is.
Sir, do you have our, I guess our surplus from, what would that be, FY 2020?
We had estimated somewhere around 300,000, but we're also looking at a negative 300,000 over in the EMS area. So,
That's from 20, not 20, that's,
so far this year,
no, last, like, at the end of June, our audit, what did our audit say this year that we had a surplus of? Or-
about $800,000, but it didn't take into effect some of the obligations we already had. Some of the things council had already approved, it just had not followed through yet.
Okay.
Not necessarily a PO in process, but y'all had approved for a certain project for a certain amount of money, and
Okay, so where do you feel that number is more
I'm
accurate?
looking at somewhere around 300,000.
And that's just the budget surplus, right? That's not reserve.
That's including reserve.
So all we got $200,000 in reserve?
No, this is just from 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I think you emailed me the other week on our general fund balance, was it was pushing 9.
The general fund balance at the end of the year was 822.
No. Okay, what's in our checking account?
Y'all talking different terminology here.
Yeah.
Let me find.
What's in our checking account is a whole lot more than that.
Right,
Reserve.
Reserve, yeah, like.
Like we're
In
like
total reserve.
28% reserve, right?
Right, yes,
You're talking total reserve.
yeah, 293, right.
What was it, around 10 million?
It was close.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was around 10 million.
So what you're recommending, Mr. Carroll, is that we,
Anything that can be considered one-time expenditure, not a recurring that would be a one-time purchase, and we could kind of separate and see where that puts us against our 1.159 that's available for capital, and see what that.
so when you say one, because in theory, all of these are one-time purchases, like
Well, some of
anything-
it's not, like if you buy,
Are you gonna buy cars again next year?
right, if you
That's
buy
what
a
I'm
body
asking.
scanner, it's good for 10 years,
Okay,
that's a,
okay. You're asking for stuff that we're not gonna have to buy again next year?
yes.
Okay. We can look at pulling that out for sure.
Some of the stuff like radios for the sheriff's department that can't just have one person in the whole county speaking at a time. Can't believe we're.
So we'll just run down, so that the coroner's truck, you wanna leave that in regular. The body scanner for the jail would be one time.
I got a problem with that count, that truck, that corner truck.
Okay, let's pull this out.
Fencing,
Yeah, let's pull all this out and then we'll go back to this.
those kind of things would be one time. I want to see what that number looks like.
Restroom remodel.
Yeah.
Single
Ceiling
tile, too.
tiles. Dump truck, chipper, the dump truck, yes, no.
So the dump truck and a chipper are a 5-10 year thing. or more.
Truck is minimum 10 to 12.
So consider that one time, you know, it's got a life greater than 5 years. You're not gonna,
All right.
And they're not replacing that.
That building's gonna be one time. That's gonna be one time. Body scanner, so we're down to 30, that. The computers, that's rolling for you or?
it is because they've got a replacement plan every year, so that's gonna be, we have to visit that area.
The records management.
That's one time.
Okay.
You know, you'll have a subscription going forward, but it'll be nothing compared to this price.
Car cameras rolling.
What about those rifles?
That's a one-time deal, because they've got rifles
The
from
tag
Vietnam.
reader's gonna be one time, right?
Yep.
Updating LEC.
I'm not loving the rifles.
I'm not even.
Well, I'm not saying that, I just want to see what it looks like if you separated that.
I'm following. I'm with you.
Flooring. That's gonna be one time.
Okay, that's the
We're
hill
gonna put that in.
square.
I'm not a fan of that one personally, but we'll. put it
Brown
on.
back up, maybe put 3,000.
Thank you.
Yeah, we could go by and scratch what we don't want to, but I just want to see what we can look at.
I understand.
You know, put the parking lot in there.
I like what you do.
Yes.
Print that out and get it through and then you get in the car.
This is Brent one here. When we get done, yes, absolutely. Actually, Miss Kirk, when we get done, she's gonna have the official, I think. Signage.
Yeah. And I really, if signs are something that everybody says we absolutely need, we don't need cheap out.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. 'Cause
Well,
That's,
sign people really expensive.
Yeah. But they really
but I think that
provide a service.
Let's just get it there.
Needs to be.
All right,
top notch.
let's talk about this list. That's a shot in the dark, where we come up with that figure, 75. I mean, it's probably, we're gonna have to do it. It's not gonna,
Which one?
when we move the PPP out, we're gonna have to redo that. Office space.
But that really wouldn't take place this budget year, I wouldn't figure.
Why not? Statement.
We're gonna leave PPP in another year in there?
No, I hope they're out, but
That was 2 years ago when we.
If, so you could almost cover everything then if you did a one-timer.
there we go. So right now. Yeah, this one back. We're on, yeah,
Three. No, 23.
so we still have another 4. If we were to do what you're talking about here, with that number, 1953, that are one time, we're not gonna talk about it next year, we're not gonna talk about it 3 years from now. We would still have 700,000 of our capital millage, where we could go back and maybe address some of these that we did stretch off. If council feels that's the route we want to go.
I'm just looking at this list. If there are things we can't, none of us can get behind and we need to scratch it off, we scratch them off and then see what we got. And if we can pay for the one-timers out of a bond or some other monies we have or a reserve and be done with it, because these are things we're gonna keep kicking, and then it'll be an emergency. Not that some of them aren't. But I don't want to spend all our money, but if this could do what it needs to do for the county and it be that small of an amount, relatively speaking, that would be the way I would want to do it. Just a suggestion.
Comments, questions, concerns, opinions on bonding versus expending our general fund balance? If we, Mr. could you tell us where our fund balance would end up percentage wise if we expended, let's say 1.5?
Now, are you talking about our overall, including our reserve?
Our big number.
Yeah.
Whatever big, if we have 10 million in the bank, we take $1.5 million out, what's the percentage of our fund balance?
Like what Jeff said in reference to maybe putting some money aside. I don't care, we do a little loan, because you can do a loan now that's so cheap that we can put these things out and pay for it on a regular basis and probably still come up without even more than our bonding capacity. And we really need to do something down here. I'm trying to get out of avoiding some things. Sandy looking at me like I'm speaking Greek.
Well, you can't, unfortunately, you can't go to the bank and Luke loaned us $200,000 without pledging full faith and credit. So you would actually be in a GO bond situation if you did that, unless you did lease purchase.
Okay, well, unless we at least purchase.
Yes,
I can do, well, okay. Well,
Otherwise,
we'll do something else,
any-
but I really want to make sure that what we were doing, we might not call another problem by.
Yeah.
Create a problem by trying to.
Still have to-
Because I really think you need the space down there for the election and all those, so I know we got to do something there, so I don't want to get into another problem.
And that's going off of $9.2 million.
Is that listed in there? Is the
Strictly
property
for one
that's
time.
in here at all?
Not at all.
No,
We would have put that in.
so that's what I'm saying. You said you're talking, we want with mine. And you think
So-
that.
Get a request from the board.
So, Jeff, if we did it all, I mean, if we did what we're looking at, so this is our, I guess, we would still have enough millage in our normal budget for this much right here, which would drop this number to about 1.5. If we did 1.5 out of our general fund, our fund balance would still be 28%.
Reserve, 28% reserve.
Yeah.
Which is well within what they would expect a county to have.
Yeah, the 25 is in that number.
That's right.
Well,
I
you
would
need to
be
be a little
reluctant not to recognize that this past year would have put everybody out of business if it hadn't been for stimulus money. You know, that's the only reason that the economy is still standing, is because they pumped money into it that way, that kind of way. And so, we've got to be able to withstand a year like this. And I mean, but basically we've had 2 or 3 of these years, 4 or 5 of them in my adult life,
And keep in mind too,
2001, 2008 come to mind immediately.
so too, we also do still have the lost monies that we could appropriate capital if we saw fit. If we wanted to go that route, I'm not necessarily suggesting that, but
If I 75 close, that still leaves us about 110-year-old capital.
I think
So do you, I guess,
just point is that these are things that a well-run organization should have fixed.
yes,
And I agree with that. And that, you know, finding the funding to do it is the next question. And going through it with a fine tooth comb, make sure everything there is in that top category. But the technology and stuff that the sheriff's department's asking for, it's a better technology to talk than that.
yeah.
I think that needs to be priority, things like that.
Exactly.
Did y'all get an email regarding directives for U.S. Treasury County? Did you get that?
Say that again,
Did you get an email from the Association of Counties?
when?
Yesterday, yeah, 16 yesterday.
Sending so many, I delete them all.
Internal Director from U.S. Treasury.
And there's a.
Yeah, we're, Ms. Kirkman, we have all our stuff in place.
But you got all that already?
Yeah,
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
we already addressed that.
So I'm just trying to see where we got other monies that we can use. I'm just looking at all the monies we can use.
This is my first go around, but if we were to fund most of these requests, would that affect, or how would that affect the salary requests from each department?
No, this is 100%
Yeah,
capital.
okay, so
Yeah,
we don't have to worry about that at all.
And
Okay.
what we're talking about doing, so we get over 6.1, 6.2 mils every year.
Yeah.
Just for capital. And what Jeff's talking about doing, and what we're discussing is using that, obviously this annual, and then taking our general fund balance, which is sitting around 35% right now, or maybe a little less than that. And using that one time
I got you.
to take care of these other needs that we've been looking at on this board, Ms. Anderson longer than me, for years and years and years. Every year, same stuff on this board. And we look at it and go, yeah, we can't do that 300,000 and scratch it off.
This council could really do something good for the county and still be fiscally responsible.
So, yeah, still, yes.
Yeah.
If we didn't have if we weren't fortunate enough to have a
Yeah.
fund balance, we wouldn't be having a conversation. There is one item and that we left off for some reason. I overlooked it, and it's not on the sheet. The roof at the jail. The roof at the jail, they were originally going to use the inmate welfare monies. I'm sorry, that was body counter. The roof of the jail needs fixed. Do we have a figure, Billy?
I think what I turned into Mr. King was around two.
It's got 500,000.
That's not right.
That's not right.
I don't think so. No, do you?
That's what I turned into, was like 235 or 236. He never put it on here. But that's where we're at. And this is just the old part. This is the original roof that we're replacing from 1990, Ms. Walsh, 93, 94.
I want to make that needs to be on here.
Ms. Anderson, am I right? Is that about it?
No, we left that roof one time, but it's all right.
No, well, there's a back part that was done. That has been, but this is the main part over the kitchen area, over the booking area and all that. We actually filed an insurance claim last year to take care of it. The association, I think, paid out like $17,000. We had water damage. Servpro had to come in. Ceiling tiles fell into the kitchen and onto the stoves and everything. So we have spent the insurance money plus building maintenance money to patch, seal, caulk, everything we can do, and it's still leaking. So,
So what number you have? What number you have with it?
240.
So what, I make a suggestion that we go through, if that's the complete list, we go down and anybody is stuck on something that says that can't exist, it doesn't need to be here, let's vote on that, get those out of the way, and then I'll make a motion.
All right, so we'll just start at the top. The coroner's truck, we dropped to 30,000 because we're gonna trade in the Taurus. All right,
I'm not for that.
so we have objection, Ms. Anderson.
So I just want to talk through that one. I don't know how many, I'm gonna assume by numbers that I've heard that there was 500 people that expired in our county this past year, 550.
I think it's closer to 800, if I remember the number right.
I guess that's a lot, but let's say it is. I don't know how much globally their department costs, but if you were to contract that out to a third-party agency to come and transport your DOAs, probably around $300 per, that's $240,000 that we would pay for someone else, to that's $250,000 to pay someone else to do that. So this, what we're doing is positive for the county, it's positive for the EMS, and the EMS doesn't have transport. But I don't know how many staff and how many vehicles they currently have that are functional versus what they're asking for, because you asked for, she has like a van, trading a car for a truck.
So right now they have 2 trucks and a van and a Taurus.
So 3 potential vehicles that could transport.
Right now. That's why, so here's where I stand.
And let me, can I interject here? Miss Cheap is driving the van. She is the coroner, which Nick drove the Taurus as the coroner. So that's her chief, that's her primary vehicle. So the deputy coroner, who would be Miss Canuck, she would actually take the pickup instead of the Taurus, because she is out running calls too and on call also. So she would be in the pickup. So that would be the chief deputy's vehicle.
So the way I see it is, we're not adding a vehicle count. We're replacing an unusable vehicle for that department with a usable vehicle for that department. Is the way I look, because you can't put a dead body in Taurus, I'm sorry. It just ain't gonna happen. I mean, I guess you could, but it's not appropriate.
Well, I know she's the corner, but the corner has a car. And the van is supposed to be used by the others. We have provided the department with what they need. And so they need to be using what we have and not,
Why would we want the coroner in a sedan instead of be able to transport?
because that's just what the preference, the other had left there to use. So it doesn't have the 30,000 miles on it. I don't see why it's her preference to use the van when it can be used by someone else to pick up bodies in. She's taken away from what services we given because of her own personal use of a vehicle.
I saw it, you may be right, I guess I saw it as she's trying to add another vehicle, usable vehicle. Does she normally transport, I don't know, maybe she doesn't.
Miss Cheap?
Does the coroner transport bodies?
Yes.
I guess that's what I'm saying.
But what happened is we went from the coroner who physically could not transport to one now that's a working coroner.
That's what I'm.
Nick couldn't transport because he couldn't.
He couldn't physically do it.
I see it as more useful for the coroner's office. I don't see it as Dale saying, you know, I'm tired of driving the pickup, I really want a car. Like, it's not a preference, it's actually a usable. If we were going the other route and she was driving the truck and said, hey, I want a car, I'd have a problem. But the fact she's going to a usable vehicle, that's what I see.
I see this line item every year, something is needed in that area. And I don't like it because I really feel they need to use whatever they have. Other people have a desire to use and have something too. But when you sit around here for a couple of years and the same people ask for the same thing every year, sometimes it's the same people that ask for a raise every year. But
And her defense is her first year's coroner with budget.
yeah, but she drove that one. But we have been providing trucks or either vans for them for the longest. And I know I saw Robin, he drives one too. So it's more than 2 out there, it's 3.
The one that Robin drives stays stationed at the hospital.
Okay.
And he gets it, if he's got a call on his end of the county, he comes to the hospital, gets it, and goes on his.
How are they, so let's say there's a fleet of 4. There's 2 trucks, a van, and a sports, right? How, on any given day, how are they deployed? Where do they sit? Who comes and gets them? Who drives what home or whatever? How does that work?
The only 2 that drive them home is the coroner and the deputy coroner. The chief deputy coroner, who would be Miss Canuck.
And she has a truck.
She has a truck. She
The
drives
newer
it home
truck we
and,
got.
well, yeah,
Okay. And then,
So who drives the sedan?
nobody sits there.
So we're not using one of the cars that are allocated right now. So I'd rather give them a vehicle that they're gonna
That they're
use
gonna use.
and to benefit our citizens. So let's take a vote on the car. Was that good with everybody?
Sure.
All right, 30,000 on the coroner's truck. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? 4-1, Ms. Anderson in opposition.
Okay, and strike the 40 and put 30.
Yes, ma'am, that's gonna be,
Now what they gonna do with the car?
that's.
They're selling it.
It will be traded in toward the truck
Okay. And you're gonna leave.
or
30
sold, whichever way is most advantageous to us to get more money.
And no one else in the county needs the car.
Earlier you said no, right? No other department can make use of that vehicle.
Right. I've tried to pass it to the sheriff and it didn't work.
Okay, thank you.
Legal may need some.
Probably smells like a cigar anyway.
All right, I think, jail roof, anybody opposed to having jail roof on? All right, body scanner for the jail. I think that's once again another tool that, I mean, I read stories all the time, what's going on. Any opposition? All right, a transport SUV for the jail.
So what is the application and what do they have now?
So right now they have, and Billy, you just jump in whenever, but I believe right now they're using 1033.
Don Evans came on as administrator, they utilized a lot of, and prior to him, I guess I should say, when Ms. Tucker was out there, they utilized state surplus when those vehicles were available. We bought, I think, 4 from state surplus, a couple of Tahoes, a couple Explorers, and now 4 years later, 5 years later, we bought them at 80, 90, 100,000 miles on them, and they're in the upward range of 200. So he is going to get rid of the oldest, most mileage, get rid of it and bring and put in a new one.
But they're using them. I mean, they're using them every day.
They're either doing transports to the hospital, transports when there's a special, I guess, for court, when the van is not needed, doctor's appointments, dental appointments, transporting them to Patrick Harris, I guess.
This will be with a cage in it and everything.
Yes.
Okay.
They're having to transport them to Columbia also. because
Yes.
DLC is not picking them up because they don't have any money.
Yeah.
So how many do they currently have to do that vehicles? Or do they just have one?
No, there's about 3 or 4.
Are they in desperate need of this or?
Yes. I mean, because what we have out there, yeah, they're eat up. So, with mileage, but
When's the last time we took the car out there?
man,
When's the last time that they purchased a car?
2 years ago. And I think they did purchase one. I thought they'd done one with possibly inmate welfare. I'm not sure. I don't think we budgeted one.
I think that's
for
where that van came from.
Yeah.
All right. Opposition to that line still? Still opposed? So this would be replacing one, Billy?
Yes. It's not growing their fleet, it's replacing one.
All right, let's take a vote on that line item. Jail SUV for $48,000. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? 4-1. Ms. Anderson in opposition. All right, fencing for employees and police vehicles at the jail. Any?
How do they make it? And what the reason did he give for that?
So right now, if you go out there, you got the south side porch covered
Mhm.
and the impound lots covered, but it's really a drive-in almost.
Yeah.
And so this would fence in
Employee parking.
and then of course all of our, the transport vehicles and any other, I mean, all of our sheriff's
At
vehicles.
any given time, anybody, you, me, John Doe Public could get as close into there as you can. The Sally Port or where they would bring in the prisoners, that is completely done. But you can actually drive all the way in to the kitchen area where the inmates will wash cars and stuff. None of that is blocked off. And because you can drive, when you get to that point, then you have to go right and you go into their impound yard. So I'm assuming that fence will be brought back out and keep.
And I think the need would be like if you had a disgruntled inmate, which I imagine there are many. I mean, they could slash your tires, go out there and slash your tires.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be $20,000. I'm not opposed to that. If it'll, one, our vehicles, but we don't want to replace the tires. I don't want our employees that make pennies out there having to replace their tires because an inmate slashed their tires. And I do see this.
How much parking don't be left for people who come out there?
Oh, you got the whole parking lot.
The employees don't park where like when you go down in there, that parking lot's on the left.
That's what I'm.
I think some probably park there now, but
That's
there's-
where I see a
they-
lot of them park.
They
So
back
there's
in
that.
right there on the right-hand side where most of the employees
They
park.
back in there or pull in there, which they would actually be facing the impound yard.
Right. So there's another parking area on the right-hand side that's where most of them,
And we don't need that area back in there to do anything else with.
it wouldn't do anything else with buildings or anything.
Probably help the judge too,
Well,
letting his car sit in there, so when he comes out of a bond hearing, he doesn't
You don't have to walk out to the public.
have a key mark on the side of his car.
Okay. Still not using the technology out there. Maybe the judge don't have to come out.
Talking about video bonding.
Yes, so we did that work and we're not using what we had.
Correct.
All we're doing is wasting money and talking noise.
All right. Any opposition to the parking fence?
And I'm just good because I don't feel like we're using our money correctly. Because we do all these things for individuals to make it work better and nobody use what they have to their advantage. And it's wrong to take money from the citizen and just use it the way you want to, when you want to, and you are an employee.
Why aren't we, on the point of the bond video, why aren't we using that technology? Do you know, anybody know?
I didn't even know anything about it.
Well,
Have
let's-
they even tried?
Dale, can you look into that?
That was installed years ago.
If you don't know, just look into
It
that.
was must be before we came on, right?
That was where I.
That was my word. Chief.
I'm gonna Dale look into that.
It's been years and we just don't use it. They don't have to go out there, all they have to do is video everything.
Yeah.
And then you have an incident, but you really don't even need to have because you're not using what you have.
Yeah, justice told me, I wanted to order that to be done.
Oh. All right, we'll vote on that one, 20,000 on park fence. All those in favor? All those opposed? Parking fence exemption,
Mhm.
opposed,
It's okay.
abstain?
Yeah.
Are you, are you good?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
I can live with anybody.
All right. All right,
I'm not gonna die.
so no opposition on that line. Paved parking lot. And Mr. Evans actually just texted me and said, we are using all the video when allowed by the judges. So maybe you'll talk to the judges and figure out what the schedule is on that. So they are using it some when the judges allow.
Guess
them
could be
to.
judge discretion.
That's true.
We can't do anything about that, right? You can't force them into a platform they don't want to do.
Correct. I think where they're using it is that some of, they're not bringing them into the courtroom. There's a video bonding area that the individual can sit in. The reason it was set up initially was that you could sit here in your office and do the video bonding through the jail. There is a room there for them to appear in so that the judge didn't have to get in his car and drive out to the jail.
And nobody has to carry them. The individuals to the judge either. Sometimes.
They're out there, yeah, sometimes they bring them in, but there is a secure area in the hallway there for them to.
All right. Next one up is the parking repavement. I do have a couple questions on that, Billy, probably. I'll be honest, I guess I haven't paid enough attention to see how bad it actually is out there. But two, is this something we could not address when we build the evidence center? We're gonna pave that parking lot, right? Would it be cheaper to do it all at one time?
Probably so, if, that would certainly be the time to maybe look at it.
So I'm on.
No, I like that.
I'm gonna be opposed to that
For now.
today, and I want you to bring us numbers when we go to pave the evidence center.
Okay.
Is that doable?
Yeah.
All right,
So you're gonna make a motion to remove that from just.
yeah, so,
Some of that could be absorbed in the capital project.
with opposition to the, yeah, I agree. With opposition to the paving, we're gonna take a vote on, $200,000 for the parking lot paving. All those in favor, please raise your right.
This is the paving at the.
At the jail, this is the jail, yes, sir. Paving at the jail, like I said, my recommendation is gonna be we do it when we do the evidence center. So parking lot paving, all those in favor, please raise your right hand.
All right, the motion is to take it out.
You're voting whether you're in favor
Yeah,
or.
are you in favor?
not.
Yeah.
So what is a yes vote?
Okay, all those in favor of paying $200,000 for the parking lot, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like manner. All right, it is unanimously stricken.
It's on bids.
All right. Next one is truck, or sorry, is an SUV for E911. It is for the director. The director's four-door Silverado, I believe, has around 160,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
It is going to be moved to the sign department where they are retiring an SUV that has a couple 100,000 miles
I
on it.
know where there's a fantastic Taurus that.
30,000.
Um, All right, here's the argument. I got the argument. With E911, when they're out doing addressing, when the director has to go out and look at a property, we have some horrible roads in this county, including private roads. And that does include a four-wheel drive vehicle for him to get around in. He would not be able to take a Taurus everywhere he needs to go.
Plus,
And if we have snow, ice,
yeah,
inclement weather,
that's where I was going.
yeah, that would be a necessity.
I guess I'm gonna have to,
Miss Anderson says she'll.
I'm gonna have to take, now I'm gonna take it to the memorial home. Give it to them, give it to somebody who can use it. I want it.
Is there any opposition on the 30,000 for SUV for E911?
And that's not adding, that's just.
That's replacing, that's just well, I guess Billy will put the other one in auction, we'll get rid of the old one and just trickle down the line. Here, no opposition, we will include that in the budget recommendations. All right, next, remodel of restrooms at the library. 75,000 cover men and women's to redo them. They have not been touched since the building of that building in '89, I think. give or take. So they're older than Luke.
Yeah, it's over 30 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, 88, 89 was when the
Current event in the day.
I think the presentation of Lawrence County is very important. And I think this is one of those things we need to address and get fixed. And
yeah, and with us building the Veterans Memorial out there, there'll be more traffic,
Much more
and
business.
more external citizens coming into Lawrence County.
They were worse than the ones that were.
That's what I asked them when and I know they always keep themselves open to the public as much as they can unless they have much time, so they always offering something to somebody.
Any opposition to the restroom remodel? Here none, we will leave that in. All right, ceiling tiles at the library.
Same argument.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
agree.
Any opposition? Here none, we will keep going down the list. Truck for Parks and Rec at 50. And we're replacing a decent truck. I think Andy mentioned airport usage, we mentioned roads and bridges uses. We will be repurposing a vehicle out of that department with this replacement. Is there any opposition on that line item? Here none, we will add it. Harley rake, or the skid steer rake for the Parks and Recs to help them where they're going to use that probably more than anything is as we do these park renovations with the CPST leveling. That machine's made to level the property is what it's made to do.
They're picking up 2 or 3 little parts, they helping out
That too,
Waterloo
potentially, yeah.
and some other areas, so they're gonna need.
Yeah.
They're gonna need some extra.
CPST.
Well, if it is, we think that would be great.
Yeah.
5-yard dump truck for the roads and bridges. Just a little elaboration on that from earlier. What that also is used for is they start doing the chip sealing on our county roads, improving our county roads. There's some they can't get the big tandem. I mean, we have a big boy, but that tandem dump won't get down these little roads. So that's kind of more, that's mainly what that one's gonna be used for, is to make sure we can get down some of these smaller roads and address some of these problems.
When do we anticipate actually doing some work?
They are in the process now of training and learning. They've done some paving already.
We need to advertise that.
We will have a, picture day, you know, show them what they've been doing and all.
And I'd love for them to come to council and present when they're ready. Let us
I was
know.
sharing with Brad, we pretty much have lost the road between our new scales and the transfer station. They're doing some work out there, learning curve out there, road restoration.
Any opposition to the dump truck?
No, but we added a little in our budget last year to make sure we covered some of this, so we really need to step up
I agree.
to make sure that we are addressing those concerns that have been, hashed over.
All right, chipper for roads and bridges for storm cleanup, natural stuff falling in the road, so on and so forth. Any opposition to the chipper for roads and bridges? Here none, we'll leave that there. The shelter for our equipment at 60,000. Any opposition, discussion?
Well, just help me out, understand, where is that located?
You know, where the airport is,
Yes.
in the big curve, they're on the left.
I think
That's 60,000 will get you 2 sheds.
Is again, two rows? Nice, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a good job. I mean, just in the last 18 months, of getting stuff covered. That's, it covers our equipment to keep it out of the weather, basically. What it does. So that's for two rows buildings. Good. Any opposition? All right. The concrete, we'll address these together because they go together. The concrete pad and the block for the aggregate. So that's, for me, that's a necessity if we're gonna move forward, because you don't want gravel in your aggregate machine, I promise you.
I don't know any of this. Well, I just, but I'm gonna look at it when you show it to me, but I really don't. I don't get it.
Is there any opposition on those line items?
Also doing business.
All right. Next, we have the sheriff's vehicles.
Say give it to them.
All of them.
I say give it all.
What we've been giving them, how many we giving them this time on that?
They got
Last
Do you
year.
feel like this is an overshoot so they get some, like, were they shooting for the stars?
Yeah.
Okay.
What we typically do is, some new, some used.
Yeah, I would like to allocate a dollar figure and let them decide what they want. I'm not gonna go and say you have to buy 8 of these machines. Let's decide what the dollar figure is, and if they can buy some used, they buy some used. It'll be up to the sheriff.
Typically, we stuck 50,000 for used. You know, if we could go to state surplus and get something like that, that's what we've done. This budget year we're in now. We stuck it at 50,000 for used and the remaining for new. So
What, as the fleet official, what's your recommendation on a dollar figure?
the 392 is only gonna get them 9 cars.
What do you get there?
What we normally do is go back and say, see what we have left to give them, and we kind of.
If you go new and used, you will get more cars. You know, if you keep, last year,
Are there over 9 cars that are at the point that have to be replaced? Like if you bought 9 new
Yeah.
ones, would that get you kind of where you need to be?
yeah, we have lost some due to accidents, and we are behind the curve in that part. We used to do 15 every 3 years. Now, you know, that kind of put us behind, you know, doing stuff like that, but
Go ahead, Ray.
I would like to entertain just approving the full amount, just with the growth that Lawrence County is gonna be seeing and I think the need for.
would you, all right, do the 392 and say maybe try 335 for new and the remaining balance to use.
I'm good with that.
Up to whatever. the
I say
sheriff-
we do 392, if that's the recommendation, and then it's up to the discretion of you and sheriff to determine which buy new. I'm not gonna tell him he has to buy a
Okay,
new car to 50,000.
okay.
I would recommend it highly.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we should dictate to him what kind of car he buys.
Used to say that we had more experience on our sheriff's cars than we did on our sheriff's deputies. And that was an embarrassing thing for me to say. I'm concerned about the pay there as well, you know. I want the experience to be on the deputies.
But you know that routine, the sheriff hires whoever they want to hire. So if they not looking, if they hire their friend, they're gonna hire their friend and the people who supported them. And they're not looking for anybody that's trained. They don't even
Well,
keep the ones that have been left behind by another one.
They can't keep talent because they're going to other counties. I mean, other counties are paying much more than Lawrence County is, so they're losing talent.
Yeah, but they're not doing any of the work. They can't do the work that Spartanburg and Greenville do. And I think we have to realize, you can't outpay what your county is, the income that you have coming in. I don't know how much the base pay for those, gentlemen.
Well, we're gonna,
We'll get to
and
that.
we're gonna have to get that on a
Yeah.
different day, different discussion.
Yeah, well, we'll.
But I can tell you this, buying cop cars isn't gonna affect what we pay the deputies.
Mhm.
I love you, Diane, but I don't agree with that. That you just don't get to choose who your competition is. Your competition and your customers decide those things. If they leave you, then you're competing with them. You don't have to like it, but you can't deny that it's true.
And the sheriff hires whoever he wants to hire.
Well, that may be true, but
That
it's,
is true.
it's not related to our conversation.
And I appreciate the discussion, but if we can just stay on task today, make sure we get.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, there will be a day to discuss that, but let's try to knock this out
I'll
today.
second give him 392.
I recommend, or we'll take it as a motion from Mr. Rankin, second from Mr. Carroll to do 392 on sheriff's vehicles. Is there any further discussion?
No said number.
Yeah. It's that number.
With, no, the sheriff will be,
No said
with the assistance of the fleet manager, determine the mix of the vehicles.
number. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, but I really want to make sure we know how many because, I think we need to stay in a range where we're doing something every year to make sure we are trying to make sure we keep, what's the word with the whole, what's the word you use for the whole,
Replacement plan.
uh-huh.
Well, he's got that set in, and I think you can find out after a year or two whether
Rotating
that's too much, or we could scale it down, or if it's not enough.
And I'll personally call him when we're done.
I want to make sure we rotate.
Recommend.
Yeah, I want to make sure our rotation cycle is so that we are meeting the needs of that department without having, we've got 15 cars this year and we
Yep.
come up next year and we can't even get
Yeah, see,
the 8.
When they go to buy those, do they still come to get council approval?
Their fleet, I mean, the need of the fleet.
No, I mean, once it's set, then, we bid them out or either go off state contract and we roll with the number we got.
Can we ask that they approve? Would it make you feel better if he had to come get approval for his cars for he bought them?
I just want to make sure that the fleet is moving at the rate that it need to move to keep it stable.
Okay.
Without us having to, because one year, but we had to just, we didn't have enough money and so we didn't get as much. And so it just broke the fleet, it just broke the barrier down of them
I'll
replenishing it.
ask Billy, if you look at the number and see an issue, I want you to bring it back to us. But otherwise, we'll trust you to do your job that you're good at and make sure we make the right decisions. All right, so we have a motion and a second for allocating 392 for sheriff vehicles. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous.
I was not watching, making sure that fleet right.
All right, body scanner for the, this is for the Hillcrest Square on the 30,000 for they requested body scanner, but we're looking at a belt and a walkthrough at 30. Is there any opposition to that acquisition?
No, but what are we gonna call it? Give me something to write down here.
Metal detector.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I say something here then? We are in the middle of April. that one is totally down. If y'all vote for this, if it's a go, could we go ahead and get it now to make it back up and running? Because that system is no longer repairable.
We could remove it from next year's budget, and just spend it out of, general maintenance.
I don't know what delivery.
Yes, and delivery time too, so we need to get in line and
Just go and take it out.
Okay, so what we're gonna do with this line item, we're gonna scratch it out,
That's correct.
and I'm gonna ask Billy to bring this to council at the next meeting. Go ahead and get it. You want to, Yeah, bring us some quotes, bring us some pictures, whatever you need to do, but please bring that to the next council meeting.
all right, I'll work with, the sheriff's office and this, Senator on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, computers for the sheriff's department at 111.
The whole technology aspect of the sheriff's office is concerning to me. I know we're gonna talk about it in a little bit, the records management system as well. But I put computers very high on my list of priority for having any organization run smoothly. You gotta have good equipment.
I agree. Any opposition to 111 for sheriff's office computers?
I want to make sure that, did we take out the record management system? What did
We
take
hadn't
out?
got to it yet.
We ain't got it.
Okay. I want
This-
one or the other for some reason, but,
Well, one is the interface for the other. You can't have,
Yeah. Especially some of these platforms require better computer systems to run the
okay, now
And
this,
program.
they're physically
Yeah.
deteriorating because of the, not necessarily abuse, but the climate in which they're used, they deteriorate faster than this.
the computers is just replacement of existing equipment. The records management system would be a whole new software.
And I work on a computer 9 hours a day with computers that SunTrust gives us.
Mhm.
And I can tell you that the nicer computers that we just got makes a whole big difference in just performance.
so you can get one of those you got.
It
I just said it, but now how many computers,
It was
is there?
30.
I don't see the number.
was 24, 25, I thought, for
Yeah, it did include,
That is
right here,
cars,
I
too.
wrote down 46 a year.
Yep.
46 a year, plus some servers. This includes, some servers, firewalls.
Too. Wonder some cars.
There were, let's see.
Yeah, 46 physical computers along with some other computer networking equipment. Servers, switches,
Now, but this one wasn't in this one, that's the one you took out, right?
no, no.
The software we took out, right?
We hadn't made it in software yet.
But we already taken it out, did we not?
Oh, you're talking about that's the emails we took out, the email software we took out.
Okay, all right, I just saw software, I thought it was
Yeah,
something.
that's the email stuff. They left that on.
And the record management system is not the one that goes with 911.
That is the, yes.
This is what they want with 911.
Right.
And do you have to have this system for the computers also?
No.
This system is just for to help them with 911.
Correct. They don't, if they buy these computers, they don't have to get the software. If they get the software, they don't have to get the new computers. They would be independent of one another. Obviously, they would work well together, but they don't have to have one. They don't have to have both. That's what I'm trying to say. They are independent purchases with independent needs and uses.
It's like if you have your computer at home and you don't have Office 365 on it, you're using something else. You could still use your computer and do something else, but if you want to use Microsoft Office 365, you got to have it.
Yeah.
I understand it with the computers, but I'm trying to make sure I am, and those are the ones that they just take out of the car and go wherever they need to go and in and out with, that's the computer.
That's the computer.
I'm worried about the other system that they said, because whatever that system is, not coming in on the computer, it comes in from 911 to them, I guess, instead of them talking through this.
It's the
Okay.
same.
Yeah.
They're interfacing with.
They want to
911,
interface
so
with the computer
so-
instead of having them walk and say, talk and say,
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
that's what I want to know.
All right. You good?
Mhm.
All right. Any opposition to the 111,000 per computer for the sheriff's office? Hearing none, we will.
I'm just gonna do it half. I'm not gonna, I don't want all of it. So I'll just, go ahead.
Okay, we can take a vote.
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah, if they can cut down on the number of computers that they get. I didn't see that. I see a plan in here for them to do that.
There, I will say, Ms. Anderson, I think when we asked them, they said we would replace 46 computers, which would be more than a third. If we're doing the
It's more than a third.
replacing, well, because I think they said there's what? 130.
Yeah, they're doing a 3-year replacement plan
Okay, that's
based
what I
on
want.
this.
So that also,
So 46 would
Okay, let me
be,
see.
every year would be 46.
so my problem is, I don't know dollar wise, how much of this is servers, how much of it is, but we could say, well, we allocate the money, they can spend it, but if you want to say you can only buy X number of computers, we can do that.
Just don't see.
We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they said update the computer, laptop, and the network system, and it goes for $111, $111,000.
So they could submit what they bought with the monies that we approved, show us, and if it is, we can evaluate whether we were too high, too low, and then when they ask you next year, we'll have actual knowledge of what they were.
I like that.
So yeah, make sure they're only 90 already, so.
Okay, now they said
All right.
the second year, the other division.
So we're gonna take a vote on sheriff's office computers at 111,000, all those in favor,
Leaving in.
leaving it in. 4, all those opposed, 1, it passes. All right, secure parking area for sheriff's office as a, one-time purchase. So 25,000.
Safety and security, I'm
I'm not, any opposition to that number?
Where are you now?
behind the jig. Oh,
And let me look on your sheet. I'm so sorry, let's see.
What you do? Another one.
It might be
You
easier.
went up at the jail.
It's,
It's
on our sheet,
building
it's
up
labeled
there.
wrong, yes, that's.
The
no,
building
no,
up there.
No,
it's page 2, jail
Page
parking.
two.
Jail, the fence.
but that's supposed to be sheriff's office, it's labeled wrong. We gotta change it.
Okay,
That's it. You got it.
okay. That's not the
Yes,
table.
this is an annex building,
Okay,
and it's 25, not 20.
and what was the name you had on that?
This is secure parking area.
Oh, the back behind
The
that, we
annex.
talked about it, yeah, okay.
Any opposition? Here none, we'll move to the next one, record management system. I am astounded that we are still communicating over a microphone, one at a time on top of that. I feel like this is an extreme necessity to bring our sheriff deputies and department up to where it ought to be. It will increase crime prevention, allow them to run tags, it'll allow them to know if they're coming up on a felony, anything else when they run that tag number.
Yeah.
I want to leave it like Jeff suggested in that one-time column. I think that's the best way to put it at 343,000. Is there any opposition to that purchase? All right, hearing none, we will continue on down to the in-car camera, 30,000. Is there any, I believe that covered six cameras is what that covers. Is there any opposition to the 6 in-car camera for the sheriff's office? Hearing none, we'll go to tasers. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I mean, I think that needs to be in there for
It
sure.
covers for 35.
Yeah,
The 20,000, and then we will also address moving forward a contract with a non-appropriation clause that will allow them to be serviced. It'll replace cartridges. That number is actually much lower than I was expecting it to be honest. So, any opposition to the taser request? All right, we'll take a vote.
That price will really come down.
Yeah. I agree. It's kind of like microwaves and VCRs. All those opposed, I'm sorry, all those in favor of approving the tasers at $20,000, 35 tasers for the sheriff, road deputies, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, 4-1. Updating the LEC, including ceiling tiles, flooring, and walls.
And to tell me exactly, is that the annex?
Yes, that's the annex.
Okay.
Right there on Main Street.
Did you skip the rifles?
It hadn't got there yet.
Wait,
Y'all got it in 2 different places, go ahead, all right, go ahead.
this was an addition, it wasn't in our original,
Okay.
and I apologize for not putting it on. Under Jeff's recommendation, that would go under the one-time gig. Is there any opposition to that figure? All right, here none will move to the tag reader request. That is a apparatus that would mount on the hood and the trunk of a patrol car that automatically scans license tags as they ride around town. And then if it flagged one, it pops up on the computer system inside the car.
Now, this doesn't happen with the system that we already just talked about.
This is the
911.
hardware. So
Okay.
it's the actual piece that mounts on the car.
Okay,
That's different from the hardware. This is the hardware part.
Okay.
And this would only be one of those?
Only covers one of those.
Okay,
They are
Okay.
expensive.
yeah,
And I hope the sheriff uses discretion on putting on a active patrol
that's what I
car.
was gonna say, yeah.
there should be some discretion now. You shouldn't have to be looking at everybody tag going around here just trying to find somebody to see what they have, you know. I don't feel like that's just what the sheriff should be, the deputy should be about.
Right, I mean, some of the things he mentioned when he was talking is like, well, we had it in this county, the gentleman out of Virginia, they were able to ping him as he was driving down the road and know
That's
where he
one out of a
was.
million times that'll happen in this particular
I know.
county. And we can't buy stuff, so just to have it. in case
I bet it happens,
somebody-
I bet it happens every day.
I don't think.
I believe they went out there to
Everybody
Walmart
down
right
there.
now and did every one of them, that didn't have somebody in there right this minute.
They rather have it sit
Well,
around
probably
here on
revenue
tag
generated
on the
by-
cars.
Offset the cost.
Yeah, that's probably a good point. The revenue generated by the use of it would probably offset the cost.
Yeah.
Let's take a vote on that one. All those in favor of the tag reader for the sheriff's department at 20,000, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, 4-1. The rifles, there's some debate on that one. The request was for 20 owned rifles. I believe right now we're using 1033 surplus. You heard the sheriff's comments about the parts and whatnot. $1,000 a piece roughly for the weapons.
I don't like the idea of being relying on the 1033 program. I'd like to see those in-house.
I'm gonna vote against it.
Okay.
I don't think they need rifles.
I think they need them. We never have to use them. Would, comments, anybody else?
We already have them now. We're just talking, what I'm arguing is whether we own them ourselves and aren't dependent on an old rifle or something, or you can't modify it to make it better, because then you gotta keep the other parts. If you turn it back in, it makes no sense. If we were debating whether we should even have them, that's a different discussion, but they already have them, so I'd be in favor of getting them current equipment. It's like tasers. If you're gonna have them, they better work, and they better be able to use them when they're supposed to, or you shouldn't have them.
Yeah, the one difference between them though is that the taser is the non-lethal.
Well, that, and
When it
I
doesn't
agree, that's
work-
not the debate though,
I know, but I'm just pointing out that they're dissimilar in that way. And,
but they already have them, so this isn't a debate on whether they have them. The debate is whether we want to own them or we want to keep borrowing them, I guess.
And why are we borrowing them? I thought somebody gave them to you.
No, it's 1033
Program.
fund.
There's a
They're on
program,
one.
but they
Take it back.
gave them to us
They
through
can
the
take
program.
it back at any time.
Okay,
Good.
well, they-
Which, yeah.
Ideally, they would not, but also they're old. Yeah, well, we never know. If we own them.
You basically was giving somebody else's junk.
Okay, yeah. They don't need them anyway. I really think we're making this like a army base, and I don't think that's just necessary. I think we,
Well, we will,
I can understand why people sometimes say that, because I think we packing too much into some of these people's mind to use them. And it's just not necessary.
all right, well, with the, let's take a vote on sheriff's rifle at 35,000 for one-time purchase. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? 3-2, it will ride in budget. We scratch radios because they are on the capital project sales tax. We scratch the evidence equipment because we're actually looking at a leasing program that will go in O&M. I'm gonna make sure Ms. Kirk has that paperwork to put that in the O&M. The SWAT equipment at 73,000. Let's go back to that.
According to the sheriff described that, it is defensive equipment. I mean, it is the gear that a policeman deploys to protect his own person while he's protecting other people and property.
Yes.
is not a weapon, it is defensive arm.
I think putting it as SWAT equipment makes it seem more
Like-
ominous than it is when it's really just.
So
protective
in
helmet.
his experience on this sheet that the sheriff submitted, it says officer safety equipment. That's how it, and we can change that word in that.
I like that.
All right, so we're gonna change the word into officer safety equipment as it is.
Well, and I'm not saying that's, I guess that's fine. Okay,
Just
no,
put
I'm-
SWAT officer
Okay.
safety equipment, so we know what it is for that specific purpose.
All right, is there any opposition to the 73 one-time purchase for SWAT safety equipment? Okay. All right, we will take a vote on that line then. SWAT safety equipment, 73,000 one time for the sheriff's department. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, 4-1. All right, for remainder of Hillcrest, Billy, with that 90,000 complete, this project will be done with flooring.
Yes.
Okay, anybody opposed to that line? All right, here, then we'll move to paint. Painting run, is that inside, outside?
Inside.
All right, well, that
That's
gets
that's
done with
the
all.
back judges area and all that. Yes, that will finish it.
Anybody opposed to finishing that with painting? All right, we scanned the landscaping. Is there any discussion on that line?
Xed it out, didn't you?
All right, codes expansion. I imagine we'll have a discussion here. I would like to postpone this until a later date.
I'm following that.
And now, what we approved before, does that include those two auditor office, assessor offices, excuse me? Is that their,
All, the assessor's office is finished.
right, and we were taking two of those
We
offices.
took two of their offices to, we had to give a little to take a little, so we fixed their counter space like they wanted it. And then, took
So what
care of
I'm
that
asking
line.
is-
But now we've got two offices that,
Do you need money to finish those offices for the building codes department?
yes, but all of that is kind of in, opening up their lobby area into those offices.
That's the 65,000, right?
Yeah,
Is that a different lot?
No, that's.
we bumped it up. I think, we were originally at 65 and that was opening up their lobby area into
Originally
those two
25.
offices.
You originally at 25, 65 is the difference than what you went to. You originally at 25, then you add for 90.
I thought we were. Well, okay, the 25 was just a placeholder because Mr. Kenny asked me to put in a placeholder.
Okay.
So that's where that 25 came from. 65 was actually what we were given from a contractor who done a walkthrough with us.
All right, I'm gonna be against this one for the time being. I'm gonna ask it to come back to us at a later date. We'll take a vote on that. Those who wish to leave building codes expansion in the budget, raise your right hand. Those who wish to remove it. 5-0. Let me strike that out. Parking lot upgrade, 175,000. We've been talking about that out here for years. Is there any opposition to that line item? I hear no move to signage. I agree with everybody that if we're gonna do it, we need to do it right. Is there any opposition to the 45,000 for signage on the front of the Hillcrest property?
Did it not go to 25?
We decided to move it back, Ms. Walsh.
It needs to be.
And if we're gonna do it, we need to do it
It
right.
doesn't need to look cheesy.
I agree. All right, just moving Triple P to Church Street. Another one in the project we've been talking about forever. Questions, Billy, ask questions on this one. That funding. 110, I know it's the baseline. I know we're looking to get monies from the state. Would that make this?
That would
wash?
go away.
That would go away.
And
Have
we
we
would use
applied
their
for
money.
that? Have we
Yes.
applied for that? Yeah. Okay, and what did they say?
There is, there's a different source of funding that Columbia has come across. And I was approached a couple of weeks ago and asked if that 236, 238 range still stood, and I said yes. And we are waiting to hear. It's not part of their budget type thing, but it's a different source of funding in Columbia.
Okay. Well, I called Danny and asked him paid him for out at the health department. And I also called and told them to do something with Clemens Library since they had so much money left.
All right, so I'm going to,
Yes, don't ask. That's right.
I'm gonna recommend we move that one over into our millage side for this year. And then if that way, if we don't use it, then we don't use it. Then it'll go back to our general fund.
Makes sense.
But I'd like for us to appropriate it, but I want to wait, not do a dang thing until we know whether or not the check's coming through.
Correct.
And I'd like for you to let us know.
Yes, sir.
At the perfect time, whether that happened or not. So I'll make the recommendation on this one because I'm tired of this project. I want to see it completed. 110,000 into the millage account for the Triple P to Church Street request. All those in favor, please raise
And
your
where we
right.
gonna put this to now?
This is the Triple P
I know, but
Church, yeah,
And what account we gonna put this on?
the six mills that we normally allocate every year,
Uh-huh.
that there.
We'll pay for it out of that.
Yeah,
Okay, I got you.
All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, unanimous.
And you was only when.
Only if
After
needed,
that.
yes.
Okay, got you.
All right. Public defender, basically this would be the renovations for where Triple P is currently, but you don't really know, do you, Billy?
I hadn't got a clue. I have not even talked to any of them, to what they want or anything. We
Don't
want to
ask
wait.
them what they want. You're gonna cover it, I can tell you.
My thing to Mr. King was, okay, let's get PPP out of there before we come up with what you want to do. So that is strictly a placeholder.
Okay.
And I don't think that'll get them what they want.
Well, let's.
No.
So I'll take recommendation. Should we scratch that one and wait for harder numbers? Is that gonna be the more appropriate thing to do? And I feel like we can use Mr. Carroll's idea to use our funding, but I think we just need to scratch that one altogether. Until we know if we don't know what we need, we don't know what we need. We all need to be cognizant that we need it by all means, but I think we can scratch that and move on. All right, so. All right, so where we're sitting right now is actually really good. So on our approved calling out our 6 mills of 1.159 million, we right now have 830 in that account, and we would be looking at general fund spending of 1.6. So my recommendation, and Mr. Carroll Liddell, make sure he agrees, that we move some of that over to the millage side. So that'd be appropriate, Mr. Carroll.
Yeah, I think we need to, whatever we're got set aside in a millage that already comes, we maximize that. And then what's left, if it's that low, then we just pay out of our stores, if you will, our savings, our overage in our capacity.
Okay. So we're 329,000 is our difference that we need to move over. So I'll take recommendations on where to start. How about the parking lot upgrade?
I'm not sure what you're doing now.
Jeff's recommendation is we address all the issues we need to address.
Yes.
So we have 6.2 mils of revenue that comes automatically, right? He's recommending that we expend that at 100 or 1.159 million. And whatever the difference is, that we take it out of the general fund balance. That's what.
Why are you delineating which ones are in which camp? Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
I got it.
We want to expend the millage that's already appropriated coming to us, so that we're not decreasing our fund balance more than we need to. So, yeah, let's go parking lot. Jeff, if anybody disagrees, please speak.
No, I think funding all those projects that we've chosen to fund is the way to go. Just how it gets paid is.
All right, here
You know, my experience is that when you don't fix parking lots, and you don't fix roofs, and you don't fix bathrooms, that you just get bigger problems.
They don't get better by itself.
They don't heal. And I don't like the idea of my 9-year-old grandchildren having better communications technology than the sheriff's department.
Could you probably come in under that anyway?
All right, so we're $1,000 difference. Anybody got a problem with that? Okay.
There's gonna be some sales tax or upcharge or something that's gonna cover that anyway.
All right, so what,
We come in under budget.
yeah, ideally. So what we're looking at, let's just run down the list and look at it, you gotta go.
So I appreciate that,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we're gonna review, let's look at this list one more time. We're gonna go down the list and discuss. The motion from Mr. Carroll is to approve the 6.1 or 6.2 millage of capital. In addition to the balance of approved projects out of our general fund balance.
Correct.
That is the motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rankin. And now we're gonna go down the list and we're gonna discuss which ones in which column, which ones we approve, so everybody knows where we are. Is everybody good with that? All right, so the coroner's truck at 30,000 is coming out of the capital millage. The roof for the jail, at 240,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. The body scanner at the jail, at 175,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. The SUV transport for the jail at 48,000 will be coming out of the capital millage. The secure parking area for the jail employees and patrol vehicles at 20,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. The SUV for E911 at 30,000 will be coming out of the capital millage. The restroom remodel at the library at 75,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. The ceiling tiles at the library at 47,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. The 3/4 ton pickup for the Parks and Rec department at 50,000 will be coming out of the capital millage. The skid steer rate at 9,000 for the Parks and Rec department will be coming out of the capital millage. The 95,000 for the 5-yard dump truck for roads and bridges will be coming out of the capital millage. 65,000 for the chipper for roads and bridges will be coming out of the general fund balance. The 2 roads and building structures for our equipment at 60,000 for roads and bridges department will be coming out of capital millage. Concrete aggregate at 25,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. The precast block for the aggregate for roads and bridges at 25,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. Sheriff's vehicles allocation at 392,000 will be coming out of the capital millage. Replacement computers for the sheriff's department at 111,000 will be coming out of the capital fund millage. Secure parking area for the law enforcement center at the sheriff's office, 25,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. The records management system for the sheriff's computers, 343,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. The in-car cameras for the sheriff's department at 30,000 will be coming out of the capital millage. The taser allotment for the sheriff's office at 20,000 will be coming out of the capital millage. The updating the interior of the law enforcement center on Main Street at 25,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. Tag reader equipment for the sheriff's department at $20,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. Replacement rifles for the sheriff's department at 35,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. Safety equipment for the sheriff's department SWAT team at 73,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. Flooring the remainder of Hillcrest Square complex at 90,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. Painting the remainder of the Hillcrest Square facility at 30,000 will be coming out of the general fund balance. Parking lot upgrade at the Hillcrest Square complex of 175,000 will be coming out of the capital millage. Signage for the Hillcrest Square complex of 45,000 will be coming out of the capital millage. Allocations for monies to update Church Street for Triple P at 110,000 will be coming out of the capital millage. That gives us a balance of capital millage at 1,160,000. And that gives us a general fund balance contribution of 1,358,000. Is there any other additions or deletions that need to be discussed? Ms. Burke, do you have all that?
I did.
Okay. All right.
Chairman Patterson,
Yes, yes, sir.
I'm getting a text message here from Mr. Avery. That if you want to put it in there as a stipulation with the, we back up to his records management
I'll
thing.
discuss it, but there is a motion on the table. Go ahead.
Sir,
I said, we'll discuss it, but there's a motion on the table. What about?
the records management, that he be, Mr. Avery be included in that, because he will have to make some adjustments on his server side, so with that system.
Are we changing any funding?
No,
Okay.
according to this, there's no funding here, but he says I will need to do some upgrades on the CAD system. But he's not saying any dollar figures,
Okay. Is all the person having to come through you anyways?
sir.
All the purchasing for this stuff has to come
Yes.
through you anyways. So we charge you with ensuring that all the pieces are figured out before you issue a purchase order.
I think the reason he's saying that to us at this table is because there is a budget.
And I think it is too, if it's an upgrade, it's gonna be something.
Yes.
Whatever
That's gonna
happens,
be
if there's an
an
upgrade, it will
anyway,
benefit
right?
the entire county, so we'll address it when it comes, but that shouldn't
This is
stop
just
us from
capital,
doing
right?
what we need to do.
Okay, well, that being a motion on the table for these appropriations, if there's no further discussion, I will call for a vote to recommend this to full council and approval of the full budget. All right, all those, we have a motion from Mr. Carroll, and a second from Mr. Rankin, at $1,106,000 for capital millage, and another expenditure of the general fund balance of $1,358,000. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Right hand. All those opposed? One. Motion passes 4-1. We have completed the capital portion of the budget. I will ask Ms. Kirk to make those adjustments in the system, and when we issue the next draft of the budget, they be included. All right. That being said, on the agenda, we do have two other items, but due to Mr. Rankin's, that's coming up on our time limit, I will take a motion to adjourn and address the others at a later date.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion on Mr. Rankin, second on Mr. Carroll. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed?
Oh.
4-1.
Please.